When Long Chun summoned his divine ring, the throne quivered as a violent suction force caused the spring's energy to surge toward him. It was possible to see all that energy flowing his way. Like the gaping maw of a beast, a giant vortex appeared behind him, greedily devouring the energy in the spirit spring. Long Chun had already tested the intensity of the primal chaos energy and could tell that he could endure it. Thus, he started going all out at absorbing it. With this, Guoran and Xiachun clearly felt the pressure on them lessen. They could sense that a portion of the energy pouring toward them was being sucked away. Their joy was palpable. Despite their best efforts, they had been struggling to endure this energy flow, making it seem as though they were on the verge of exploding. However, with Long Chun absorbing it at full power, he succeeded in relieving them of a portion of the pressure. While the two of them were happy about it, the other experts on their respective thrones seethed with rage. They cursed Long Chun and desperately tried to absorb more energy from him. However, they clearly didn't know how to expedite their energy absorption. No matter what they did, they could only watch as it poured toward Long Chun. Their furious roars echoed through the pool in vain. After all, they only knew how to passively absorb the energy of the throne, not how to absorb it faster or how to control the flow of the energy. What idiots! These thrones were made by the human race. They have formations around them, but after destroying the human race, you lost the method for controlling the thrones. You truly are hopeless fools, sneered Long Chun as he absorbed the primal chaos energy. Bang! Bang bang! The other two heavenly geniuses switched to attacking Long Chun's seal, vainly trying to disturb him. Regretfully, their efforts came to nothing, and the giant vortex was completely unaffected. As more primal chaos energy poured into Long Chun, his blood chi raged like a tsunami. Meanwhile, his tendons seemed to transform into small golden dragons with scales on them, each scale bearing a rune reminiscent of an egg. These runes awakened under the influence of the primal chaos energy, undergoing some kind of transformation. As a result, every single one of his tendons felt full of energy. In his bones, some strange energy was flowing within the chaotic scars. Like dry riverbeds, they were rapidly absorbing primal chaos energy to repair themselves. Meanwhile, his Dantian's starry sea sparkled with fervor. Each star hosted a violet flame seedling that greedily absorbed this primal chaos energy. Just like hungry wolves, Long Chun's spirit blood, spirit root, spirit bone, and dragon tendons were devouring this vast primal chaos energy. It was as if they were worried about running out of it. The boiling spirit spring then started to rumble intensely, and cracks appeared on its borders. Countless experts had surrounded the area above and enclosed this region. But now they were horrified by what they saw. The land around the spirit spring was now cracking. It was a phenomenon they had never seen before. The spirit spring was supposed to just boil, but now it was like there was an earthquake. The ground shook intensely, and the entire world was trembling. 2 hours later, Long Chun's divine ring still voraciously absorbed the primal chaos energy, not showing any sign of being satisfied. However, the seals around Xiachun and Guoran were starting to weaken, causing their expressions to change. This signified that they were reaching saturation, and they would no longer be able to absorb more primal chaos energy. Once they could no longer do so, the seal would be undone. Then, the two experts who didn't have thrones would immediately attack them. Their gazes were already locked onto Guoran and Xiachun with icy killing intent. "Boss, just ignore us. We can protect yourselves," shouted Xiachun. He could see that Long Chun was crazily absorbing energy and shouldn't be interrupted. If Long Chun came out in advance to save them, he would no longer have such a chance again. Suddenly, Xiachun pressed a talisman against the seal on his throne, and the seal suddenly vanished. He had undone his protection in advance. "Die!" Seeing him reveal himself, those two experts immediately attacked him. In response, Xiachun activated a formation disc in his hand and unleashed a net that enveloped the two of them. In the water, their movements weren't very nimble, so they were instantly caught. However, the runic net, formed from an ancient formation disc, proved to be no match for their immense power. It was sliced apart in an instant, allowing them to break free. Just as they escaped the net, Xiachun arrived at Guoran's throne. In that critical moment, the seal around Guoran vanished, and Xiachun squeezed onto the same throne alongside him. Xiachun then threw out 36 formation discs, arranging them around the throne. As they lit up, these lining up discs conjured walls of light that formed a powerful defensive formation. Boom! One of those lifeforms launched a relentless assault against the barrier, channeling all his might into it. The sheer force of the blow made the entire spirit spring tremble, and the barrier quivered in response, though it remained intact. Nevertheless, its divine light noticeably dimmed. Damn! This one attack can annihilate a swath of half-step Eternals, Xiachun exclaimed in shock. It had nearly drained the majority of the formation's power. If Xiachun had to estimate it, its power was enough to wipe out a horde of half-step Eternals that had fought during the Sage King convention. This fellow was absolutely terrifying. Let's see how long you can hide. The other life form smashed on Xiachun's barrier with his fist. But before it happened, a cask-like object appeared beneath Xiachun's feet, and it was packed to the brim with primal chaos spirit stones. With its appearance, the dim barrier regained its light. Boom! This lifeform's fist caused the barrier to dim once more. Following the strike, the primal chaos spirit stones in the cask shattered, turning into debris. Unfazed by the onslaught, Xiachun took out yet another cask filled with primal chaos spirit stones. The runic symbols on the cask then activated, causing the spirit stones to burst into a brilliant glow. The previously dim formation once again regained its vitality. It was evident that these casks served as fuel to sustain the formation. As long as he had a sufficient supply of fuel, the barrier would remain unbroken. The two lifeforms relentlessly assailed the barrier, and Xiachun continued to swap out his casks of primal chaos spirit stones. Even as he burned through this money, Xiachun's expression didn't change. With his immense wealth, he could maintain this kind of expenditure for a century with no problem. The two lifeforms persisted in their attacks but remained unable to reach Xiachun or Guoran, further fueling their frustration. At this time, the two of them found that the primal chaos energy coming from the spring was starting to weaken. Panic quickly set in as they realized there was no longer enough primal chaos energy to sustain all of them. Other than Xiachun and Guoran, no one else had reached full saturation. All of a sudden, one of the two experts attacking Xiachun's barrier shot towards Xiachun's empty throne. How can this be? However, when he arrived, he was shocked to find that the throne didn't react at all. In other words, the Spirit Spring's primal chaos energy was no longer sufficient to activate this throne. It had to be known that Xiachun and Guoran had only absorbed very little of the primal chaos energy compared to the others. When combined, their absorption amounted to less than half of what a single one of them had consumed. Yet, the primal chaos energy within the spring was dwindling rapidly. Just then, the moon-like core of the spring cracked. Boom! Just as everyone was shocked by this, the core of the spring suddenly exploded. The full moon exploded. It was only then that everyone realized that the core was actually a giant piece of jade with countless runes flowing within it. So the core of the spring isn't natural but man-made, exclaimed Xiachun. Due to how much time had passed and no one maintaining it, the core was already on the brink of collapse, and under Boss's intense suction, all of the primal chaos energy inside of it was drawn out. Without the support, the runes were thrown in disbalance and it exploded. Guoran nodded along. Boss really is the boss. After this, there will no longer be a primal chaos eye, chuckled Xiachun. The shattered jade transformed into a powder that scattered throughout the pool, and the pool became incredibly turbid. They could no longer see through it. As the jade exploded, its residual primal chaos energy detonated alongside it, and the majority of this released energy surged toward Long Chun. Long Chun had wrung out all the primal chaos energy inside of the jade. Boom! It was like a volcano was erupting within Long Chun. He had finally reached his limit and could no longer absorb any more primal chaos energy. Just then, the seal around Long Chun came undone, and two experts instantly charged at him. "Boss, watch out!" warned Xiaqin. The divine sea was now in chaos, and they couldn't see anything. However, through the formation, Xiaqin was able to sense what was happening. Boom, boom. Suddenly, two deafening explosions echoed through the area, accompanied by two pained grunts. The two experts who had been assaulting Long Chun were sent flying backward, crashing into the walls. Boulders then rolled down as the walls started to collapse. Just then, the seals around the other experts came undone. Infuriated, they let out furious howls and launched an assault on Long Chun. Their killing intent surged like a tempest. After all, the seals on their bodies weren't undone because they had reached their absorption limits. Rather, it was because there was simply no more primal chaos energy for them to absorb. At most, they had only achieved half saturation. As all the other energy had been taken by Long Chun alone, how could they not be enraged? With the destruction of the primal chaos eye's core, from now on, there would no longer be a primal chaos eye. In other words, they were the final batch of people to undergo its baptism. Die! Out of nowhere, a gleaming golden arrow streaked forth. Despite the spring water obstructing its path, it moved at remarkable speed and reached Long Chun almost instantaneously. Long Chun's heart raced as he recognized this as a divine ability of the Kunping race. He didn't dare to receive it head-on and ducked to dodge the deadly projectile. Boom! The divine light was like a sword piercing straight through the rock and out the earth, penetrating the 9 heavens. What a terrifying divine ability! Long Chun jumped in shock as the power of this attack was unimaginable. If he was struck, even he might meet his end. Suddenly, an ear-piercing shriek tore through the air, like a needle stabbing into his very soul. Both Xiaqin and Guoran screamed in pain and covered their ears, while blood poured out of their ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. That two-headed life form had unleashed a spiritual attack, causing Long Chun to feel shocked, as this attack was impossible to evade or defend against. As a result, Xiaqin and Guoran's souls were on the verge of tearing apart. Just then, the blood flame expert attacked Long Chun. Go for broke! Long Chun gritted his teeth and turned his gaze. The next moment, a giant image of a dragon appeared behind him, and a brilliant dragon cry rang out. Divine Dragon Pendulum Tail! Boom! A golden dragon tail shot out like a heavenly whip, delivering a powerful strike to the blood expert. With an immense explosion, a giant vacuum appeared underwater, and terrifying ripples spread in every direction, sending boulders flying and causing waves to explode into the sky. That blood expert was sent flying out of the water like a shooting star. They're here. Suppress them. Just as the blood expert came flying out of the water, over 10 eternal experts summoned weaving blood chi that locked down this area. Boom! The blood expert directly smashed into the blood chi barrier made by the combined forces of multiple eternal experts. As a result, his protective divine light shattered, and blood sprayed out of his mouth. Wait! This is one of ours! Shouted one of these eternals. They had thought that after being surrounded by so many experts, Long Chun's group of 3 would immediately try to flee. Hence, these experts had set up a heaven-encompassing net for the 3 of them to fly into. However, they hadn't expected the first one to come out to be the heavenly genius from the blood race. Fortunately, they had wanted to capture Long Chun alive. Otherwise, this blood expert would have been annihilated. Boom! Just as they were surprised by the appearance of the blood expert, the water exploded once more, and a bronze cauldron smashed into their barrier. This impenetrable barrier had part of its power retracted due to the confusion surrounding the blood expert's appearance. As a result, the bronze cauldron smashed into it at its weakest moment, and this enormous barrier was forcibly blasted through. What? All the Eternals who had set up the barrier were shocked, their blood chi flipping inside of them. This bronze cauldron's divine pressure made their souls quiver. Quick! Stop them! Right as the bronze cauldron broke through the barrier, Long Chun grabbed Xiaqin and Guoran and flew through the opening. These experts immediately attacked, but they were one step too slow. Long Chun retracted the earth cauldron and his golden wings shimmered. In an instant he disappeared from view. More figures then came flying out from the water. The other 8 heavenly geniuses appeared, covered in mud. Chase! Seeing Long Chun escape, all of them were seething with rage and instantly shot after him. A giant Kuanping then appeared in the sky, and with a flash of golden light, it vanished without a trace. It was that heavenly genius from the Kuanping race. One figure after another shot toward Long Chun's direction with terrifying speed. Long Chun then sped through the air with great velocity, leaving a wake of constantly collapsing space behind him. Numerous experts pursued him at their maximum speed, the tremendous spatial pressure they emitted causing the very laws of heaven and earth to buckle and waver. Fuck! This is terrifying. Guoran looked back and felt a chill. Countless experts, including many Eternals, were crazily chasing them. As a result, the space in their wake crumbled as if a relentless dragon was hunting them down. Once they were caught, they would definitely be torn apart. Xiachun and Guoran had been alongside Long Chun for many years and had witnessed numerous incredible events. However, this high-speed chase was an entirely new and terrifying experience for them. Not good. Boss, someone's catching up, shouted Guoran. A golden Kuanping had thrown off the other experts and was getting closer and closer. It's that fellow from underwater. Guoran recognized him. The closest one to them was not one of the eternal experts but the heavenly genius from the Kuanping race. At first he was with the crowd, but now he was gradually throwing them behind him as he got closer. Boss, he'll catch up soon, shouted Guoran. It's the two of us slowing down Boss's speed. Xia Chen's expression also changed. Boss, put me down. I can use formation discs to block them and then leave with a formation, shouted Xia Chen. What nonsense. If you get off, don't even think about leaving alive. With the laws of space and chaos, how are you going to leave with a formation? Demanded Long Chun. Xia Chen was clearly planning on sacrificing himself to slow them for a moment. Although Long Chun would be able to leave with Guoran, in that case Xia Chen would definitely die. Just then, the Kuanping got even closer, and Xia Chen panicked. Boss, we're going to enter his attack range. His feathers are already shining. He's preparing some big moves. That Kuanping's speed was even faster than before, and runes were blazing all across him. Don't worry, he won't rashly attack us as he'll only have one chance. His speed will drop the moment he attacks, and if we dodge, he won't have another chance to catch up to us, said Long Chun. Long Chun raced at his maximum speed, causing the very fabric of heaven and earth to distort around him. It was as if he had entered a tunnel of space-time. Other than this heavenly genius from the Kuanping race, the others had fallen far behind. It was no longer possible to see them. In other words, once they threw off this Kuanping, they would have a chance to fully escape. Thus, Long Chun was sure that the Kuanping would not launch a rash attack without being absolutely confident. Boss, is your speed dropping? He's getting closer, shouted Guoran. Even through the space-time channel, while everything else was blurry, that Kuanping's figure grew clearer and clearer. My speed isn't dropping. He's taking advantage of me breaking the flow of air, reducing the air resistance on him. That's why it looks like he's getting faster. If I was the one chasing him, I'd also be able to catch him like this. But there's nothing we can do in our current position. Whoever is at the front is at a disadvantage, said Long Chun. Then what can we do? Should we throw stuff at him? Asked Guoran. Long Chun was dragging Guoran and Xia Chun by the arm as he flew through the air. It was difficult for them to endure. If they hadn't gone through the primal chaos eyes baptism, this immense pressure would have torn their bodies apart. However, while they were able to endure it now, there was no way that they could properly attack. They couldn't even form hand seals. No need. We're still a bit far, so he'll dodge. Once he's closer, he will launch a divine ability at us. At that moment, toss some useless eternal divine weapons at him. With his speed, smashing into them should daze him, said Long Chun. Long Chun continued to fly at full speed, but the Kuanping got closer and closer. Xiachan and Guoran could now see the runes flickering in his eyes. After all, their full attention was on his eyes. When those runes ignited, Xiachan and Guoran's souls quivered. They knew that they had been locked onto. Without hesitation, they tossed out the divine weapons of other races that they had only kept for research value. There were 16 of them, including sabers, spears, swords, halberds, hatchets, axes, hooks, and tridents. These divine weapons came from the devil race, the ghost Dao, and even from the underworld lifeforms. The Kuanping expert had begun gathering formidable energy in his mouth, but before he could unleash it, he caught sight of divine weapons hurtling toward him. In response, his wings fluttered, creating numerous illusory images in the sky. He managed to evade 7 of the incoming projectiles in rapid succession. Nevertheless, a devil spear still found its mark in his chest. Though this spear had been thrown rather haphazardly by Xiachan, it was the Kuanping's own speed that amplified the impact. The divine weapon detonated after piercing him, creating a substantial cavity in his chest, sending feathers and blood scattering. As a result, the attack he had been preparing was abruptly interrupted, and he started to tumble through the air. His speed instantly plummeted. In the blink of an eye, Long Chun disappeared beyond the horizon, vanishing from sight. "We did it!" Xiachan and Guoran couldn't contain their joy. They hadn't anticipated that a simple maneuver would enable their escape. It had to be known that they had been incredibly nervous just now. The experts pursuing them were truly formidable, and they had harbored a genuine belief that they might meet their end here. Yet, their getaway had been surprisingly straightforward. "Xiachan, prepare a formation disk. Once we reach the transportation node, activate it." "I'm going to slow down," said Long Chen. Long Chen's incredible speed made it impossible to perform spatial transportation due to the chaotic nature of space at that moment. After all, to execute a successful spatial jump, they required a stable and calm spatial environment. However, the dilemma lay in the fact that if they waited for the space to stabilize, the relentless pursuers would soon close the distance. If they didn't manage to initiate the spatial transportation before being overtaken, they would have no option but to flee once more. Furthermore, it would be even harder to get away if they failed to perform the spatial transportation successfully. The Kuanping expert would likely not fall for the same ruse twice. If he simply shadowed them closely without making any direct attacks, the aura he left behind would serve as a guide for the other experts in the humanless world to gradually encircle them. Then they would be dead for sure. Finally, Long Chun landed in a valley, and Xiachan immediately activated a formation disk, his hand quivering. After all, this related to whether the 3 of them would survive or not. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't nervous. "Quick, quick, quick!" Xiachan fervently prayed as he activated the formation disk. Normally, this bit of time would be nothing, but now every blink of an eye felt as long as hours. Xiachan had just activated the formation disk when the space in the distance began to collapse, a sign that the humanless world's experts had caught up to them. Long Chun then grabbed Xiachan and Guoran once more. If the spatial transportation didn't activate in time, he would have to drag them away again. "Die!" Just then, those experts also noticed them and unleashed furious attacks. Beams of divine light tore through the world toward Long Chun, Xiachan, and Guoran. The area where the 3 of them had stood was instantly blasted out of existence, and a terrifying giant black hole manifested in its place. Unfortunately for them, just before their attacks landed, the 3 humans had vanished into thin air. The first spatial transportation succeeded, and the 3 of them immediately underwent successive transportations. The formation disks that Xiachan had set up were finally put to use. No matter how fast Long Chun was, he wasn't as fast as spatial transportations. Moreover, since it was just the 3 of them, it was much easier, and they were able to go much farther. After 7 transportations, they were getting closer and closer to the gate. However, that only made them more nervous. "Boss, are we really just going to barge through?" asked Guoran. The humanless world's experts couldn't possibly be so stupid that they wouldn't lock down the exit. Even if they were pigs, they would definitely send countless experts to guarantee that the exit was blocked. Furthermore, they would all be the top experts of this world, the members of the senior generation. That was because the experts of the junior generation had all been sent to hunt them down. Members of the senior generation? Then they had to be Eternals. Furthermore, it wouldn't just be one or two, so charging over like this was truly too dangerous. There's no choice. We must charge our way through. If we stay here, we won't be able to undergo tribulation, and we'll waste our time. Even if the gate opens and the humanless world is fully connected to the Nirvana overflow heaven, our people might not necessarily be able to assist us. After all, the humanless world has too many experts, said Long Chun. Long Chun knew what Guoran was thinking. He wanted to hide here. In any case, with Xia Chen's formations, as long as they hid themselves, the experts here wouldn't be able to find them. However, what about their tribulations? Were they supposed to keep their cultivation bases suppressed the entire time? If they did undergo tribulation, then afterward, Long Chun would definitely be exhausted or even mortally wounded. After that, he would definitely be slaughtered. Moreover, the cultivation world had already changed. Every person was doing their best to get stronger with all their power, not daring to waste a single day. If the three of them hid here while everyone else underwent tribulation and became world kings, they would really be doomed. Leaving aside all other considerations, the peak heavenly geniuses of the humanless world were already existences that Long Chun could just barely handle. So if they underwent tribulation and became world kings while Long Chun was still in the immortal king realm, he would definitely die if he ran into them. The dragon expert had previously said that Long Chun wasn't a match for the top experts of this world. At first, Long Chun hadn't accepted it, but now he knew just how true that was. The only reason he could now challenge these heavenly geniuses was because he had undergone the primal chaos eyes baptism. He had gone through a complete transformation. Back in the spirit pool, Long Chun had unleashed the divine dragon pendulum tail, not holding back at all. That was an attack that he thought would kill his opponent or at least gravely wound him. However, that attack was barely capable of breaking through the defenses of that blood expert. Furthermore, that blood expert had smashed into a barrier made by eternal experts and only coughed up some blood as a result. Although he was injured, it wasn't serious. From this, it could be seen just how terrifying he was. If Long Chun had encountered such an expert when he first entered this world, his chances of victory were abysmal. This was the difference in the environments they had grown up in. It was an immense natural gulf between them. These terrifying experts were still growing with every passing day. If Long Chun lost his chance to undergo tribulation because he was hiding, then a huge gap would once more appear between them. Catching up in the future would be far too difficult. Furthermore, the other side would not give him a chance to catch up either. They would slaughter him while he was still weak. Thus, he had to return to the Nirvana overflow heaven, as only in the Nirvana overflow heaven would his cultivation not be delayed. Once we reach the exit, I'll pour all my power into the earth cauldron. However, I have no guarantee that we'll manage to barge through their barricade with just that. This is our last chance. When the time comes, if we can all leave together, then we'll all leave. But if we can't, then whoever has the chance has to leave first, said Long Chun. Boss! Xia Chun and Guoran were startled. If that was the case, then Long Chun's chances of leaving were the lowest. When that time came, Long Chun would have used up all his energy. And against so many terrifying experts, how could he possibly survive? It's decided. If I cannot leave, you must leave. Return to the Nirvana overflow heaven and undergo tribulation. Just raise your power and come back to save me. Don't worry about me. I'm the fastest on my own. They can't catch up to me, said Long Chun. But... No buts. Sometimes you just don't have a choice, said Long Chun firmly. Long Chun was holding the two of them, but now he suddenly let them go, and the two lagged behind him. At this time, a giant gate appeared before them. The earth cauldron appeared in Long Chun's hands. As his spiritual strength poured into the earth cauldron, it instantly blazed like a sun. The earth cauldron illuminated this world, the gate, and also the countless figures around the gate. Long Chun's heart sank upon seeing those figures. Among them, he instantly spotted 8 terrifying existences. Those were 8 eternal experts. Clearly, this time, Long Chen's luck wasn't so good. He had been hoping that there would only be 2 or 3 eternal experts, as that would already be giving the 3 of them face. Unexpectedly, they had sent 8 Eternals to stand guard. These experts didn't have transportation formations or communication formations. In other words, they were not yet aware of the matter of the primal chaos eye, yet they had sent 8 Eternals to guard his place. That meant, right from the start, they had decided to not let the 3 of them leave the humanless world. Wretched human race, do you think that you can leave? Keep dreaming. When Long Chen appeared, those lifeforms immediately unleashed their powerful auras. The next moment, an eternal expert roared and actually flew straight toward Long Chen, smashing a tiger claw at him. Fuck! We ran into an idiot. Long Chen's heart sank. This eternal expert was so stupid that he didn't even sense the Earth Cauldron's divine might and came up alone. This was completely different from Long Chen's expectations. He had thought that eternal experts would have at least some brains and sharper senses. After sensing the power of the Earth Cauldron, they would join forces to lock down the gate. However, his calculations were off, as even the eternal experts here were different. While they possessed formidable power, they had generally led peaceful lives, and their instincts for danger were not as keen. Nonetheless, even if their sense of danger wasn't very sharp, they should have been able to sense the Earth Cauldron's terrifying desolate aura. Unfortunately, Long Chen's luck wasn't good this time. The other 7 eternal experts had sensed an immense danger and didn't take any rash actions, choosing to defend. There was only one pig-headed tiger who foolishly threw himself at Long Chen the moment he saw him. Long Chen was shocked and enraged, but the arrow had left the string, so there was no going back. Idiot, die! Long Chen gritted his teeth and smashed toward him with the Earth Cauldron. With the support of his spiritual strength, the runes of the Earth Cauldron lit up, and its sacred aura shook heaven and earth. Long Chen was unable to control the Earth Cauldron to fight. However, he could use an alchemy method to activate more of its runes. Boom! With a heaven-shaking explosion, the Earth Cauldron struck the huge tiger claw, causing it to instantly explode. The Earth Cauldron then continued to strike the Eternal Expert's head and blew it apart. After that, the brain matter of an Eternal flew through the air. Die! Long Chen roared. After slaying that Eternal Expert of the demonic beast race, Long Chen shot at the other Eternal Experts. Those 7 Eternal Experts were both startled and enraged. They joined forces to block the Earth Cauldron. Boom! Amidst an explosive sound, the 10,000 Daos crumbled, and Long Chen grunted, coughing up blood. Due to his earlier clash with the Eternal Expert, this attack was unable to breach their defenses, and he was halted in his tracks. Not good. Long Chen's heart sank as his plan had failed. Blood sprayed out of Long Chen's mouth as the Earth Cauldron's divine might knocked the 7 Eternal Experts back several steps. This was the Earth Cauldron, not the full Heaven Earth Cauldron. It was not meant for killing, but even so, Eternal Experts would suffer when directly clashing with it. Long Chen quickly put away the Earth Cauldron. He knew he had only one chance, and with this failure he had to leave immediately, or he would certainly die. Just as he was preparing to bring Xiaqian and Guo ran away while these experts were still shocked and had yet to surround them, the dragon expert's voice rang out in his mind. Cloud Dragon Immolation Claw. What? Long Chen was shocked. At this critical time, the dragon expert wanted him to keep attacking. Long Chen gritted his teeth. However, due to his trust in the dragon expert, he chose to do it. Golden dragon scales appeared all over his body, and a majestic dragon cry resounded throughout heaven and earth. A giant dragon image appeared behind Long Chen. However, this time it was different from before. It went from illusory to solid, as if a real dragon had just descended. Long Chen's body shook as his divine sense abruptly departed from his physical form, delving deep into the cosmos. He experienced the sensation of seeing a colossal dragon entwined around countless stars, a truly awe-inspiring sight. This is my second time lending you power, so we will have to part for now. You will have to walk your future path yourself. Senior. Long Chen's heart trembled as an ominous premonition washed over him. Attack! Long Chen gritted his teeth. Putting aside his misgivings, he roared. Cloud Dragon Immolation Claw. A dragon claw extended from the image behind Long Chen, casting a shadow that seemed to cover the heavens, shrouding the sun's radiance. As soon as it manifested, it tore through the 10,000 daos. Gaping cracks filled the very void, and it appeared as though this claw would rip the world apart. Run! When that claw appeared, all the Eternal Experts' expressions changed, and they fled like startled rabbits. Boom! A heaven-shaking explosion erupted as the dragon claw fell, instantly obliterating a space of hundreds of thousands of miles. Those 7 Eternal Experts were struck by a terrifying ripple, and every single one of them screamed and exploded into blood mist. Not even Eternal Experts were able to escape this claw, so it instantly wiped out the other experts as well. Seeing this scene, even Long Chen himself was stunned. The Dragon Expert had helped him with its power, and it actually annihilated so many Eternal Experts in an instant. However, Long Chen felt no joy, for he sensed that the Dragon Expert's aura had abruptly vanished. Previously, he could feel the Dragon Expert watching over him, but now it seemed that this connection had disappeared. Senior, Long Chen cried out, but the Dragon Expert didn't reply. It was like it had vanished forever. Just then, Xiachan and Guoran flew over, both shocked by Long Chen's attack. Boss! Suddenly, they saw Long Chen sway and actually collapse. The two of them immediately grabbed him. They checked his body to find that every last bit of his energy was gone. His essence, qi, and spirit were all severely overdraft. Run! Xiachan and Guoran didn't dare to tarry and carried Long Chen toward the gate. Xiachan then activated a formation, and the three of them went with the flow of primal chaos qi, vanishing instantly. Within the boundless cosmos, within the sea of stars, a pair of giant eyes grew dim and listless. You really are a foolish brat that doesn't let your elder feel at ease. However, I like your character. He bet everything on you, so I will bet my everything as well. The Dragon Expert's voice echoed throughout the cosmos. Following that, its body quivered and the entire starry sea quivered with it. Looking from a greater distance, it was possible to see countless chains binding its body, with every chain bound to a star. One particular giant chain pierced straight through the Dragon Expert's head, and the other end of that chain was embedded into the heart of the cosmos. This was a land of darkness. Its absolute black aura was like the mouth of an all-consuming beast, exuding a feeling of terror and dread. This little fellow really isn't bad. I thought that with my power he would only be able to drive them back, but he actually killed them all. His potential really is astounding. But borrowing one bit of my power took 10,000 bits of power out of me. These damn blood-sucking ghosts, they're still absorbing my energy. I need to enter a slumber. Hopefully, when I wake up, that foolish brat will have grown up. Those giant eyes slowly closed, and this entire cosmos descended into a deathly silence. There was only some mystical energy flowing at the heart of the cosmos, where it was darkest. It was like some terrifying existence was being born there. Xiachan and Guoran came flying out of the gate and returned to the Sage King Prefecture, where countless experts from various races had gathered. When the three of them abruptly appeared, these experts were all shocked. However, when they saw the unconscious Long Chen, their expressions turned hostile, and killing intent exploded out of them. Weeks before, when the experts from the humanless world noticed Long Chen's presence in their world, they directly locked down the gate. Following that, one of their eternal experts shouted to the side of the Sage King Prefecture, shattering the formation that Xiachan had set up to block off communication. As the gate had opened a bit wider since Long Chen's entry, this allowed the life forms on the Sage King Prefecture's side to barely manage to communicate with the other side. Once they connected, though, the humanless world's experts could communicate properly with them and learn about the situation in the Nirvana Overflow Heaven. The experts of the Devil race, Blood race, and demonic beast race in particular were delighted to learn about experts from their respective races in the humanless world. They were eager to open the gate and welcome them. Hence, they immediately pledged loyalty to the humanless world's forces. Once the gate opened, they would be their advance troops. These experts were very skilled at sucking up, and the humanless world's experts were very pleased by their flattery, so the latter would occasionally transmit a few low-grade divine abilities through the gate. Those were divine abilities that had long since been lost in the Nirvana overflow heaven. To the humanless world's experts, they were crude superficial techniques, but they were priceless secret arts to the experts in the Nirvana overflow heaven. Due to this, experts from various races were gathering here, waiting for the direction of the humanless world's experts. With time, more and more of them arrived in this prefecture, including half-step Eternals. Hence, when Guoran, Xiachan, and Longchun emerged from the gate, those experts were stunned. They had not dreamed that the three of them would be able to escape alive. Kill them! Upon seeing that Longchun was unconscious, those experts instantly erupted with killing intent. All the half-step Eternals directly attacked the three of them. There was a path to heaven, but you didn't walk it. There was no gate to hell, but you still forced your way through. Fine. Upon seeing the idiots charging over, Xia Chen's expression sank. He then took out an ancient formation disk. As soon as it appeared, a terrifying murderous aura filled the air. Explode! That formation disk shot out like a bolt of lightning and detonated within the crowd. As the formation disk exploded, numerous runic swords shot out, and 3 half-step Eternals directly turned to ash. Meanwhile, the other half-step Eternals who were a bit slower and hadn't reached the core of the formation disk were pierced by those runic swords, but they survived the attack. Despite that, they were horrified and hastily fled. The other experts were equally terrified, having never witnessed such a technique before. Boss isn't interested in wasting time on you, but if you really want to die so badly, I don't mind fulfilling your dreams. I'm leaving now. If anyone wants to die, come try and stop me, sneered Xiachun. Just like that, he carried Longchun away with Guoran. They weren't particularly fast, leaving plenty of time for people to attack them. However, Xiachen's single attack had slaughtered 3 half-step Eternals in the blink of an eye, scaring anyone from attempting to stop them. In truth, Xiachen was just bluffing when he said that he wanted to kill all of them. While he did want them dead, he was unwilling to use up all his formation disks. After all, the formation disks he had brought back from the humanless world were limited in number, so each one he expended was a valuable resource lost. Until he had the ability to create them himself, he was hesitant to use them indiscriminately. These formation disks couldn't be underestimated just because they were small. In truth, they contained their own pocket dimension, packed with hundreds of primal chaos spirit stones, which granted them their formidable killing power. Although Xiachun had plenty of primal chaos spirit stones, these were all exceptionally precious to him. In Xiachen's eyes, these half-step Eternals weren't worth the money it would take to kill them. In front of the appalled gazes of countless experts, Xiachun and Guoran carried Longchun away. In the end, not one of them dared to even make a sound. The 3 of them had just left when furious roars came from the other side of the gate. Their pursuers had finally arrived by the gate, but they were one step too late. Longchun had returned to the Nirvana overflow heaven, and they could only vent their frustration through the gate. However, after venting for a while, they found that something was wrong. The surrounding laws of space were broken, and they also found a few destroyed bodies. For a moment, they were left in a state of shock and confusion. Longchun, the great 9-star heir, can you hear my call? That elderly voice once more resounded from within the endless darkness. Why is it that you can only communicate with me in my weakest moments? Muttered Longchun. It's because I can only sense you when you are at your weakest. This is the only time your heart is free of other thoughts, and you can hear me, responded the elderly voice. Your voice is now very clear. Is that because my realm is higher or because we're now closer? Asked Longchun. It is because we are closer. I can already sense that you have entered the pathway of the 9 heavens. We are now one step closer. The elderly voice sounded a bit excited. The pathway of the 9 heavens? Is the humanless world the pathway of the 9 heavens? Long Chun was startled. I don't know about the humanless world, but I can confirm that you just entered the pathway of the 9 heavens. You are now in the 8th heaven, the Nirvana overflow heaven, and you just came out of the channel. In truth, had you gone through that channel, you would have reached the 9th heaven, said the elder. Upon hearing this, Long Chen's heart trembled. The term 9 heavens referred to 9 worlds, each with barriers separating them, and they were collectively referred to as the 9 heavens. The 9 heavens could also be differentiated by power, from the dark light heaven to the violet flame heaven, and then to the Nirvana overflow heaven. Long Chun had been constantly going to higher worlds. Previously, Long Chun had thought that the Nirvana overflow heaven was the highest of the 9 heavens. Unexpectedly, it was only the 8th, so the 9th heaven had to be the greatest world. According to this elder, the humanless world didn't even count as a real world. It was just a channel connecting the Nirvana overflow heaven to the 9th heaven. However, Long Chun hadn't seen any exit to the 9th heaven within the humanless world. Had he simply missed it? Great 9-star heir, I can sense the change in the world. Countless 9-star heirs are now rising like shooting stars. The time of our revenge is coming, said the elder excitedly. Revenge? What revenge? Asked Long Chun. The blood debt of the 9-star line. This is the chance for the human race to soar once more. Long Chun, great 9-star heir, have you not yet sensed the mission you carry on your shoulders? Asked the elder. Mission? Long Chun pondered for a moment. I really haven't sensed anything. I feel like fate is constantly toying with me, and its guillotine always slams down right behind me, forcing me to run forward with all my power. What? Every 9-star heir will condense their life star when they awaken the 5-star battle armor, and obtain... The elder was bewildered, suddenly hesitating to tell Long Chun. Life star? What is that? What will they obtain? Asked Long Chun. The elder didn't reply and muttered to himself. How can this be? This shouldn't be. Senior, can you answer me? Asked Long Chun sternly. He wanted to know just what secret lay within his cultivation art. In truth, every 9-star heir will come to awaken their mission after reaching a certain realm. You all have different missions, so I also don't know how to answer you, said the elder finally. Then what about you? Can you tell me who you are? Asked Long Chun. I am the Awakener, the one who awakens slumbering 9-star heirs, said the elder. Then tell me, do you know the complete 9-star Hegemon body art? Asked Long Chun. The 9-star Hegemon body art is innate to all 9-star heirs. As your power rises, you awaken the cultivation art step by step. Is that not the same for you? Asked the elder, more bewildered than ever. Upon hearing this, Long Chen's heart shook. He suddenly had a very odd feeling and didn't directly reply. Senior, can you tell me the mission of 9-star heirs? I'm sorry, but I am only the awakener of 9-star heirs, so I don't have the right to direct you. You will need to realize it yourself, said the elder apologetically. I can only warn you that immense danger is about to befall. The 9 heavens and 10 lands will soon be destroyed, and you are all the final hope of this world. There is not much time left. If you don't quicken the pace, it really will be too late. If it was before, Long Chun would feel uneasy and anxious after hearing the elder's words. But for some reason, this time he felt much more at peace. Long Chun didn't reply. This endless darkness caused his thoughts to become clear, and he felt calmer than ever. Please answer this one question. Who is the Pill Sovereign? Asked Long Chun suddenly. You! How do you know of the Pill Sovereign? The elder seemed so shocked by this question that even his voice quivered. Please answer me. Buzz. Suddenly, the darkness vanished and Long Chun woke up. The moment he opened his eyes, Yu Qingxian and Bai Shishir's startled cries rang out in his ears. Long Chun, you scared us to death. Yu Qingxian and Bai Shishir's eyes were red. They had clearly been crying, but they were delighted to see Long Chun wake up. I was just sleeping, said Long Chun with a smile. Sleeping? Do you know that your aura and spiritual fluctuations almost vanished just now? Cried out Yu Qingxian before bursting into tears. Just now. Long Chun was startled. Was it while he was speaking to that mysterious elder? Long Chun sensed his condition and found that he was incredibly weak. His spiritual fluctuations were faint, and he felt like he didn't have the slightest trace of energy left inside of him. It really did feel like he was about to die. However, curiously, his mind was in excellent condition. Furthermore, this extremely weak state rapidly recovered once he woke up. In just a few breaths, his spiritual fluctuations strengthened and his power gradually recovered. Can it be that speaking to that elder exhausts too much of my energy? Wondered Long Chun. Seeing Yu Qingxian and Bai Shishir's red eyes, Long Chun grabbed their hands. I'm sorry to make you worry. Yu Qingxian and Bai Shishir both blushed. Although Long Chun had held their hands in private, he had never done it in front of others, so they instantly turned shy. Upon seeing their tear-stained beauty, Long Chun's heart felt like it would melt. He then pulled the two of them in, and the two cried out, instinctively avoiding him. Bai Shishir's face was completely red. I'm going to tell father and mother that you're awake so that they don't worry. After saying that, Bai Shishir directly fled, her face just like a red apple as she ran. Qingxian. Long Chun pulled Yu Qingxian, who was also extremely red. Yu Qingxian held his hand and softly said, That's enough. You just woke up and your Yuan spirit is still in a weak state. Eat this pill and rest some more. Yu Qingxian took out a medicinal pill and fed Long Chun. Long Chun then opened his mouth extra wide and pretended to bite Yu Qingxian's hand as he consumed the pill, scaring her into hastily retracting her hand. Even at your age, you're still acting like a child. Yu Qingxian glared at Long Chun, though there was no real anger in her eyes. Qingxian, just stay by my side. I feel like I can sleep peacefully with you here. The moment Long Chun consumed this pill, a burst of sleepiness came over him. Yu Qingxian's pills were even more effective than the pills he refined himself. All right, lie down. I'll go to find Shishir. We'll guard you. Yu Qingxian smiled sweetly and lightly helped Long Chun lie down. Long Chun nodded and watched Yu Qingxian leave the room. He wanted to see Bai Shishir again, but he quickly fell asleep. As he sank into unconsciousness, he seemed to hear two people whispering. Their voices were like birdsong, and he quickly drifted away peacefully. Long Chun's sleep this time was exceptionally sweet, reminiscent of his childhood when he would fall asleep crying in his mother's embrace. It was filled with a sense of peace. This single sleep lasted for 3 days and nights. When Long Chun finally opened his eyes, he found himself lying in Bai Shishir's embrace, his head resting on her lap, and his face nestled into her underbelly. Her fragrance filled his senses. No wonder he had dreamed so comfortably, as if he was a child again. Long Chun wanted to reach out to hug her, but he was afraid that she would push him away. Although he already woke up, he didn't move, acting like he was still asleep. Suddenly, he heard Bai Shishir's teasing voice. Don't be shy. Long Chun instantly understood that he had been exposed. Blushing, he hugged Bai Shishir tightly. Bai Shishir cried out in shock, not expecting him to be so wild. Her face turned as red as a tomato, and she felt a burning heat rising within her. Stop messing around. Release me. I was told not to be shy, so why should I let go? Long Chun hugged Bai Shishir even tighter. Looking at her embarrassed appearance, Long Chun laughed. Stop. Sister Qingxian is bringing a wet washcloth for your face and will be back soon. Don't let her see this, said Bai Shishir, pushing him away. Long Chun knew that Bai Shishir's skin wasn't thick enough, so he didn't dare to tease her too much. He released his embrace, and even after he did, Bai Shishir's cheeks were still as red as a ripe apple. What are you looking at? I was just sitting to the side, and you crawled your way up to me? Declared Bai Shishir upon seeing Long Chun smiling at her. Long Chun knew that Bai Shishir would really get angry if he kept this up, so he put away his smile and solemnly said, Thank you. I'm sorry for making you worry. It was only then that Bai Shishir's expression improved slightly. She then glared at him. You knew that we would worry about you, But you still went running off to the humanless world without discussing it with us. Do you even care about us? After Bai Shirshir said this, her eyes reddened once more. Even though she did her best not to cry, a few tears still leaked out. I'm sorry. It was my mistake. I should have discussed it with you. I promise that I will definitely talk to you about such things next time, said Long Chun hastily. In truth, Long Chun hadn't dared to discuss it with them. He knew that as soon as he mentioned it to them, they would definitely go with him or they wouldn't let him go. Going to the humanless world was far too dangerous, so Long Chun wouldn't let them go. That was why he had only brought Xiachun and Guoran. Without the two of them, even he wouldn't dare to go there. However, Long Chun could be considered smart and didn't argue about it, directly admitting his mistake. As for whether he would bring them next time, that would be a matter for next time. Upon hearing his promise, Bai Shirshir's expression improved. Given Long Chen's character, getting him to admit that he was wrong was extremely difficult, so this could be considered a great concession. However, Bai Shirshir still didn't understand Long Chun well enough. Long Chun didn't give concessions to others, but to his own people, especially his beloved woman, he didn't mind making concessions and acknowledging his mistakes. He had long since gotten used to such a thing. Long Chun reached out to wipe away Bai Shirshir's tears, but she pushed away his hand and angrily said, "After making someone cry, you're then going to help them wipe away their tears and count it as even? As a person, you must finish what you start. If I cause something, then I should take responsibility, right?" said Long Chun. The double meaning behind his words made Bai Shirshir blush. Just then, Bai Shirshir heard footsteps outside, so she hastily wiped away her tears and acted as if nothing happened. "Big sis, is boss awake yet?" They heard Bai Shaola's voice from outside. "Not yet. What is it?" asked Bai Shirshir lightly. Long Chun was startled. After all, he was already awake. But seeing her glare at him, he didn't dare to say a thing. "Ah, really? Then what are we supposed to do? There are more challengers today," said Bai Shaola disappointedly. "Aya!" Long Chun felt a sharp pain in his waist and let out a startled cry. Bai Shirshir was pinching him. You what? You woke up and still pretended to be asleep. Hurry and get up." Long Chun looked at Bai Shirshir in disbelief. "God damn. If you want to go, then go. Stop dawdling." Bai Shirshir chided Long Chun, holding back a smile. "Count yourself vicious." Long Chun nodded. He realized that this petty-hearted woman had exacted her revenge. She always found a way to get back at him. Long Chun then pushed the door open and saw Bai Shaola. "Let's go. I want to see just who is so blind as to dare come to my territory and challenge me. If I don't beat the crap out of them today, I'll accept that their sphincters are of high quality." Long Chun followed Bai Shaola to the newly constructed guest hall of the High Firmament Academy. Although it appeared large and majestic, it was a bit crude as many details were not yet complete. At this moment, this hall was packed with hundreds of experts. Amongst them were over 10 experts at the peak of the Immortal King realm, and the rest were half-step Eternals. These experts stood in the hall, accompanied by the High Firmament Academy's experts. However, the Academy's experts were all heaven venerates, and not one of the Academy's important figures like Bai Zhantong was present. On the way, Bai Shaola told Long Chun that these people had come with disciples, saying that they wanted to exchange a few pointers with Long Chun. However, in truth, they had come to challenge him. As a result, the Academy's higher-ups essentially ignored them, only sending a few elders just for show. They said that everything here was up to Long Chun, and since Dean Long Chun was sleeping, they would have to wait until he was awake before doing anything. These people had been waiting for 3 days. The hall lacked sufficient seating, so they were all growing increasingly frustrated due to the prolonged wait. After all, these people were the prominent leaders of the various factions, and half-step Eternals were typically revered and treated with great respect. However, in this situation they were being overlooked and not even provided with seats. As a result, these people were constantly chiding the elders from the Academy who were in charge of accompanying them. Regrettably, the elders were powerless and could only inform the guests to continue waiting for Long Chun. indicating that they were unaware of the intentions of the higher-ups. Having to accompany these terrifying existences made them all nervous. The dean has come. Upon seeing Long Chun walk into the hall, those elders looked like they had seen their saving star. The world instantly felt brighter as the hope of these old-timers had come. Long Chun and Bai Shaola entered side by side, offering a nod to the Academy's elders as a form of greeting. Long Chun then headed straight for the single seat at the very front of the hall. Meanwhile, Long Chun acted like he didn't even see the guests. Long Chun took a seat, while Bai Shaola stood by his side. Both of them remained silent, simply gazing at the experts in front of them. As a result, the experts, already frustrated at having to wait, were further infuriated by Long Chun's display of arrogance. What was he trying to say with this? They had waited 3 days for him, but now that he arrived, he didn't even say anything? Was he not even going to apologize for making them wait? The Great High Firmament Academy, supposedly the #1 academy of the 9 heavens, seems to lack the basic courtesy of treating its guests. How unexpected! Sneered one of the elderly experts finally. Guests? Do you count as guests? Responded Long Chun contemptuously. We have traveled from afar to pay you a visit. We came with sincerity, with the heart to revere the #1 academy of the 9 heavens. Does that not make us your guests? If we aren't guests, then Great Dean Long Chun, what are we? Demanded that elder coldly. His tone could be considered polite, but it was also aggressive. There are many kinds of guests. However, the most hateful kinds are unwanted guests who come with evil intentions. When it comes to treating guests, it's essential to approach each guest differently because each person deserves individualized treatment. When you first arrived at the academy, you didn't fill out the guest lists. You didn't come bearing gifts, nor did you show any respect for the academy. Instead, you look down on everyone here. Do you truly consider yourselves guests? Despite your many years of existence, it appears you have learned nothing about manners. Have all your years been spent living like a dog? You know nothing about being guests, yet you have the audacity to criticize others for not knowing how to treat guests. I see that your power is quite average, but your face is amazingly thick, scoffed Long Chun. The Academy's elders almost clapped when Long Chun said this. During the past 3 days, they had endured a great deal of insults and mocking from these arrogant fellows. They had long since found them displeasing, but they could only endure. Long Chun's response perfectly left these arrogant experts speechless. It was like they had just been given a resounding slap in the face, but the elders of the academy cheered in their hearts. You! That elder was enraged, but didn't know how to respond. After all, what Long Chun had said was a fact. They hadn't followed the customs of guests this time. Long Chun was quite displeased after suffering by Shirshir's hands. So how could he possibly give them any face? Instead, all his fury would be vented on them. Dean Long Chun, good afternoon. This old man dash. Just then, another elder stepped forward from the group of human elders. He had quite the sharp appearance. Although his power was average, he was considered quite intelligent. From his demeanor, it could be seen that he was one of the leaders. Hey, why would you say such a thing? Long Chun directly interrupted him. Oh, did I say something wrong? This old man wishes to learn. That elder simply smiled slightly, not getting angry at all. Are you saying I'm only going to have a good afternoon? Do you want me to have a bad morning and a bad night? Are you cursing me? Demanded Long Chun. You! The other elders were left speechless. This was definitely twisting his words too far. Long Chun was clearly nitpicking. In the end, this elder simply laughed. Ha ha ha! My choice of words is lacking. Then let me start over. Dean Long Chun, I wish you well. I'm from the dash. What do you mean, you wish me well? You mean I'm going to be well, but you're not going to be? Or maybe they're not going to be well. So, other than me, everyone else will not be well. Long Chun interrupted him once more. That elder's expression finally twitched. No matter how good his temper was, he couldn't endure this anymore. He was getting angry. Dean Long Chun, don't you think you are arguing a bit for the sake of argument? Declared the elder angrily. Are you stupid? What do you mean, a bit? I'm clearly arguing for the sake of argument. Am I not making it obvious enough? Asked Long Chen. One of the Academy's elders finally couldn't hold back his laughter anymore. However, he knew that he shouldn't laugh, so he hastily covered his mouth, causing some stifled snorts to come out. The other Academy elders were also biting their lips, trying to suppress their laughter. However, their bodies were shaking because of it. After living for so long, they could count as experienced people. However, they had never seen such a sight before. This group of arrogant experts were choked to the point of almost coughing up blood. Now they finally understood why the higher-ups refused to reveal themselves and insisted on waiting for Long Chen to wake up and deal with them. It was clearly a case of using a wicked person to deal with wicked people. People like them could only be put in their place by Long Chen. Dean Long Chen, you dash. Shut the hell up. Long Chen let out a thunderous roar, akin to the roar of a dragon, which resonated throughout the entire hall. Even the half-step Eternals present felt their heads buzzing from the roar's intensity. This unexpected shift into hostility took them by surprise. Long Chen's once indifferent expression had turned dark, and a powerful aura radiated from his eyes, filled with unyielding determination and a chilling intent to kill. Speak. Who sent you here? What kind of benefits did they give you? What are you talking about? That sharp-faced elder's expression changed, and he shouted indignantly. Long Chen coldly said, "Don't play this game with me. When it comes to playing tricks, you aren't even fit to carry my shoes. I just came out of the humanless world, and many people saw it. You came here to probe what happened to me, didn't you? Your guts are quite big. You." "Shut up. I don't have time to waste on you. Under the banner of exchanging pointers, you came to see whether I was dead or severely wounded. With such malicious intent, if I wasn't the dean of the High Firmament Academy, I'd have slaughtered you immediately," shouted Long Chen. Although Long Chen had barely exchanged words with them, he was able to guess their goal. He had seen such a thing a lot. What arrogance! I, Jiangsong, am not convinced. Do you dare to fight me? One of the Immortal Kings suddenly stepped forward arrogantly. Bai Shaola was startled when this guy stepped forward as there was primal chaos chi swirling around him. His aura was shocking. Did you collude with the other world's experts? How did you come to possess such powerful primal chaos chi? Shouted Bai Shaola. Cut the crap. Do you dare to fight or not? Demanded that expert who called himself Jiangsong. After absorbing a few primal chaos spirit stones, do you think that you're unrivaled in this world? Long Chen snorted disdainfully. He could tell that Jiangsong had absorbed the energy of primal chaos spirit stones. Moreover, he had just absorbed their energy, and the primal chaos chi had yet to fully adapt to his body. Long Chen had also absorbed primal chaos energy. However, he had done it under the protection of the primal chaos eye, so it was fully merged into him. When Long Chen fell into a slumber, his body no longer had any nutrients to sustain it, so it entered a slumbering state to reduce energy consumption. Because of this, though, others were unable to sense the primal chaos chi on him. As a result, this Jiangsong got arrogant. Absorbing this primal chaos chi had made him feel like he'd undergone a profound change. It was as if he had merged with heaven and earth, as if the entire world was under his command. His confidence extended to the 10 immortal kings accompanying him, whose auras had also been tremendously enhanced by the primal chaos chi. This newfound strength gave them the audacity to challenge Long Chen. Long Chen, are you afraid? Does the great sage king not even dare to fight me? Ha ha ha. If news of that spread, your name will be tarnished. Jiangsong laughed arrogantly. Hearing this, Bai Shaola was enraged. This person was practically asking to die. Although Bai Shaola hadn't absorbed primal chaos chi, he felt that even he would be able to defeat this idiot. Just as he was about to teach him a lesson, Long Chen held him back. Every single one of you brings a photographic jade and has it activated. Speak. Who are you recording for? Demanded Long Chen. We have a photographic jade active to record Dean Long Chen's remarkable presence. Why? Is there any problem? Said one of the Immortal Kings. The next moment, Long Chun seemed to suddenly teleport in front of that immortal king, startling him. Having no time to take out a weapon, he swung his fist at Long Chun. However, the moment he attacked, Long Chun's finger had already pierced his head, shattering his soul. Long Chun then saw some scenes from his soul fragments. A sneak attack! How dare you! These experts were infuriated. Jiang Song, who was closest to Long Chun, unsheathed his sword and swung it at Long Chun's neck. How brazen! The Academy's elders were enraged. They were about to join in the fight when they saw a sight that left them in disbelief. Crack! Jiang Song swung his sword at Long Chun's neck, but to their amazement, Long Chun's neck remained unharmed while the sword snapped in two. This sword might not be an eternal divine weapon, but it was known for its remarkable sharpness. Even against eternal divine weapons it could put up a fight. Hence, Jiang Song cherished it as much as his own life. Jiang Song looked at his shattered sword in terror. He hadn't held back with that blow. However, Long Chun seemed to disdain even blocking, simply allowing the sword to shatter upon contact with him. Isn't living nice? Why do you want to die so badly? Long Chun sighed and shook his head while looking at Jiang Song. Jiang Song, in a desperate move, attempted to stab Long Chun's eyes with the broken sword as he retreated and made a run for the exit. However, Long Chun simply caught the broken sword with his left hand. Then, with a flick of a finger, a streak of 7-color light flew out. Following that, the fleeing Jiang Song quivered and fell to the ground, not moving anymore. Humans should possess a respectful heart. Only then can they live a bit longer. Don't you think so? Long Chun looked at the sharp-faced half-step Eternal. Right, you're absolutely right. Dean Long Chun, your wisdom is unparalleled, and your divine power is a blessing for the human race. That person hastily nodded and bowed fawningly, showing no trace of his previous arrogance. Just as he was speaking, the broken sword in Long Chun's hand flew out, and the elder's head soared into the air, blood falling throughout the hall. Where did so many useless words come from? It's annoying to hear them, said Long Chun indifferently. The elder's head then fell to the ground, and following that, his body also collapsed. What shocked everyone was that when the elder's head fell, the fire of his soul was already extinguished. So, this blow had not just severed his neck, but it had also wiped out his Yuan spirit. It had to be known that if a half-step Eternal's head was cut off, that would be considered a light wound. It wasn't fatal. However, this elder did indeed die with no ability to resist. Long Chun, what do you think you're doing? We are only here to bear witness. Why would you kill us? Those half-step Eternals started to panic. They suddenly realized that Long Chun was far more terrifying than he had been during the Sage King convention. Although he was still an immortal king, as soon as he started attacking, he gave them a sense of immense pressure, like a mortal threat that was pointed right at their hearts. This signified that Long Chun could easily kill them all. They hadn't expected such a thing before coming here. Why would I kill you? Well, why would you provoke me? Why would you betray the human race and collude with the humanless world's lifeforms? Demanded Long Chun darkly. From that slain person's soul fragments, Long Chun knew the entire cause of this incident. The humanless world's experts had started enticing the human race to do their bidding. They sent over primal chaos spirit stones from the other side of the gate, promising that the day the gate opened was the day that the humanless world's treasures would be shared with them. Unable to resist the allure of primal chaos spirit stones, these idiots promised to carry out their orders. As a result, this batch of brave conscripts came to the academy with photographic jades as evidence of their loyalty, and they would use the recordings to exchange for more treasures. The reason why Long Chun's killing intent was triggered was that he thought of the human race's extinction in the humanless world. The root cause was betrayal, which was the most hateful thing for him. Originally, Long Chun had planned to teach them a lesson, but now he had changed his plans. You can just kill yourselves? Or do you want me to personally do it? Long Chun's voice was icy, resembling a death god's edict as it reverberated throughout the hall. Those present were overwhelmed with terror, sensing that Long Chun really wanted to kill them all. Boom! The hall exploded, and hundreds of figures went flying out of the wreckage. Within the dust and smoke, Long Chen's figure emerged. As the golden divine radiance around him gradually faded, his heaven-shaking blood qi also slowly subsided. How sinister! A half-step eternal crawled up with great difficulty and pointed at Long Chun, his eyes full of fear and resentment. After saying that, he collapsed and no longer made a sound. Bai Xiaola was behind Long Chun, looking completely dumbfounded. He hadn't expected Long Chun to be so ruthless. Just now, everything had happened so quickly that it was over before he could even react. In that instant, Long Chun was like an angry god, and even the half-step Eternals were like ants in front of him. Dean Long Chun, have you thought about the consequences? Just then, a voice rang out, and Bai Lishan's figure silently appeared. Grandpa! Bai Xiaola was startled. Bai Letian was actually in this branch academy as well? Long Chun then turned to Bai Letian and shook his head. How could I have thought about the consequences? It seems that I'm too childish. I truly am not suited to be the dean. What shocked Long Chun was that, even in his current state, with his senses sharper than ever, he was still unable to see through Bai Lishan's cultivation base. No, you are very suited to your position. If I were the one dealing with them, I wouldn't have been able to kill them all. Whether it is out of consideration for the academy or from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't be able to do it, said Bai Letian as he walked over to Long Chun with a faint smile. So you had me be the bad person? Well, I've never really been a good person anyway. Long Chun couldn't help smiling bitterly. Grandpa, it's not right for you to make my boss bear the burden, scolded Bai Xiaola. If Long Chun doesn't bear the burden, are you trying to get an old man like me to bear it? Said Bai Letian with a laugh. He turned to Long Chun. Why did you change plans and suddenly kill them? I'm a bit surprised. I thought you would teach them a lesson and then tell them to scram. All of a sudden, Long Chen's smile vanished and he somberly said, I actually disdained the idea of killing them, and at first, I had no intention of doing so. But from their soul fragments, I knew that they had been bought by the humanless world's lifeforms. So I had to kill them. If they could be bought once, they could be bought a second time. Perhaps they wouldn't dare to target me, but they would certainly target other humans. Mountains and plains change, but a person's character doesn't. If I let them off, they wouldn't be grateful to me. And even if they did briefly, such gratitude is short-lived. They would not necessarily let me off when I am in trouble next time. Moreover, there's a crucial aspect to consider. Allowing them to go free would give me a reputation for being lenient and magnanimous. But that would bring even more trouble. Who knows how many innocent people would die at their hands. After thinking about that, I decided to change plans. I suppose it's the same reasoning as the death penalty. It may tarnish my reputation, but I don't mind. After hearing that, Bai Lishan's smile widened, and he nodded. With the opening of the humanless world, primal chaos chi floods our world and reshapes the laws. More worlds similar to the humanless world are gradually emerging. Although things look peaceful right now, in truth, dark undercurrents are lurking beneath the surface. Danger is silently approaching, and the human race is on the verge of destruction. Yet, these people allowed themselves to be bought by other races. They truly did deserve death. Dean, are you saying that more worlds like the humanless world are appearing? Long Chun was startled. Bai Letian nodded. We've just received a report. 2 mysterious gates appeared in the southeast and northwest sides of the Nirvana overflow heaven, and primal chaos chi is flowing into our world from the gates. Furthermore, there are reports of ancient ruins emerging in both the violet flame heaven and dark light heaven. As primal chaos chi is coming from their entrances, they are suspected to be gates to other worlds as well. If that's the case, opening the humanless world might not have been the ultimate goal of the Sage King Convention. Instead, the humanless world served as the spark that ignited a prairie fire. Now that this spark has ignited, the fire is spreading throughout every corner of this world. It was quite the move. Fortunately, you stopped the humanless world from opening, so we still have time to deal with it, said Bai Letian. Long Chen's heart shuddered. This time, Lord Brahma's move was truly profound. Just what was he planning on doing? Other than that, Dean Long Chun, during this upcoming period, it would be best if you didn't leave the academy, warned by Letian. Why? Asked by Shaola. We have received reports from the Nirvana Overflow Heaven, Violet Flame Heaven, and Darklight Heaven about the appearance of the gates, but we lack information about the number of undiscovered gates that may have opened. There are rumors that experts from those other worlds have infiltrated the 9 heavens, leaving blood in their wake. Everyone is nervous, said by Letian. Then isn't this the perfect time for us to kill them and make a name for ourselves? Said by Shaola. Long Chen shook his head. You are thinking about it too simply. Their true experts will not risk coming to our world just yet. They're biding their time for the laws of the various realms to stabilize, then swiftly ascend to become world kings. That way, they'll establish a connection with the 9 heavens and won't be bound by our realm's laws. The ones coming now are just troublemakers trying to disturb us. Killing them won't have any impact and will only slow down our cultivation speed. Perhaps they even have a few hidden assassins that will target our world's heavenly geniuses. Dean Bai is worried that I will be targeted by them. Bai Letian nodded, appreciating Long Chen's intelligence. After all, Long Chen was still young but could already see so far. It was a rare talent. Bai Letian then left, leaving the academy's experts to handle the mess. They took away the corpses and got to work on reconstructing this hall. Killing so many of these experts would definitely cause huge waves. Long Chun believed that these people had countless eyes watching them. By taking decisive action and eliminating them, he aimed to establish a deterrent effect. Long Chun wanted people to know the price of betraying the human race. If Long Chun had let them leave, it would only send the message that betraying the human race carried no consequences. That was a bad start. Let's go. Perhaps Xia Chan has set up the primal chaos grand formation, said Long Chun. He and Bai Shaola then headed to the rear mountains of the academy. When Long Chun sensed the primal chaos chi within a mountain valley, he smiled. The Dragon Blood Legion is truly about to rise. Experts of the other worlds, are you prepared? When Long Chun entered the mountain valley, a powerful surge of primal chaos chi engulfed him. While it wasn't as dense as the primal chaos chi in the primal chaos eye, it far exceeded the concentration found in the humanless world. Inside this valley, the Dragon Blood warriors were sitting in meditative state, crazily absorbing the dense primal chaos chi. Boss! When Xia Chan and Guoran saw Long Chun, they immediately put down what they were working on and ran over. How is it? Asked Long Chen. It's going well. It's even better than we expected. Our brothers are absorbing so much primal chaos chi without any issues. We are using a support formation to fine-tune the density to a level perfectly suited for their bodies, said Guoran. It's too bad that it wasn't Guyang, Li Qi, and the others who went with you to the primal chaos eye. The two of us practically wasted that chance, said Xiachen regretfully. Due to their weak bodies, the two of them had not managed to absorb much from the primal chaos eye. Long Chun smiled slightly. Some things simply couldn't be forced. After all, the 3 of them couldn't afford to bring anyone else with them to the humanless world, as only the 3 of them could cooperate so flawlessly. If one more person had been brought, they might not have lived to tell the tale. How long do you think it will take for their bodies to reach full saturation and be ready to undergo tribulation? Asked Long Chen. Half a month would be the fastest. But even if we're slow, it won't take more than a month, said Xiachen. Long Chen nodded. That was quite fast. This way, their cultivation speed would not fall behind anyone else. As the gate was gradually opening, the laws were stabilizing, quickly reaching equilibrium. It probably wouldn't be long before all the powerful experts started undergoing tribulation at once. When their tribulation started, it would push the gate open bit by bit. Therefore, undergoing tribulation before the gate fully opened was crucial, but that shouldn't be a problem with the Dragon Blood Legion's speed. However, boss, we do have one problem, said Guoran. What is it? Many of our brothers didn't enter the 3,000 worlds, so they lack the nourishment of good dragon blood, and their dragon blood body tempering art has weakened a great deal. Although Xia-Chun and I have gathered some dragon blood, it's not of very high quality. If we are unable to make up for this difference, it will pose a major problem when we form up into a formation. After all, the dragon blood body tempering art is the foundation that links us when we join forces, said Guoran worriedly. This was a problem that had worried him for a long time. He and Xia-Chun had been thinking of how to get more dragon blood ever since the Sage King convention ended. The Huayun Trading Company had provided them with assistance, and they had acquired a significant amount of dragon blood. However, the quality fell short in comparison to the dragon blood they had collected in the 3,000 worlds. The pressing issue was the quantity. It was only enough for a few dozen people to absorb. Furthermore, if they were to absorb different types of essence blood, it would mess up their formations. Just the day before, they had received reports from the Huayun Trading Company that their warehouse had no true dragon essence blood. If they wanted to gather some, they would need to do a large-scale search. However, such a large-scale search was too time-consuming and demanded an excessive amount of effort, which they couldn't afford to spare. In principle, this was a problem that they should have handled on their own. They couldn't have Long Chen handling every minor issue, or he would never have a moment for himself. However, they truly couldn't think of anything at the moment. Dragon blood. Long Chen also felt a headache coming. Dragon blood? Where was he supposed to get dragon blood from? It would be best to obtain it now because their tribulations were coming. With the power of the heavenly tribulation, they could merge the dragon blood and primal chaos chi into their bodies to unlock their full potential. All of a sudden, Long Chen's eyes brightened. He gritted his teeth and said, "You two keep going. I'll be back soon." Long Chen ran off. In a short moment, he was standing in front of the palace master. "You want my essence blood?" The palace master was dumbfounded. When Long Chen saw the palace master, he jumped in shock. The palace master's aura was unstable, like the surging tide. Even just standing in front of him, Long Chen could feel a powerful pressure pressing down on him. "Palace master, you became a true eternal?" Long Chen cried out in shock. The palace master had actually advanced in such a short time. "I was originally just one step from eternity. So, when the primal chaos chi erupted, I directly advanced. However, this is a top secret of the academy, so don't go telling anyone about it. I'm waiting for those displeasing fellows to send themselves to my door," said the palace master. Long Chen's heart shook. The palace master had just advanced to the eternal realm, but his aura was even more terrifying than those old eternals of the humanless world. Before this, Long Chen had been a bit worried, but now he was at ease. Even if all the humanless world's experts came to attack the High Firmament Academy, there was nothing to fear. "Palace master, my brothers cultivate the dragon blood body tempering art, but because of some circumstances, they have large gaps in their cultivation bases. So, I'm wondering if you could kindly provide a few drops of your essence blood as a guide to reconsolidate their dragon blood body tempering arts. Could you do me this favor?" asked Long Chen with a hint of anxiety. The palace master was no petty person. However, as someone from the dragon race, he was extremely prideful and valued his bloodline a lot. Long Chen couldn't be certain that he would readily part with his essence blood. "It's no problem if you want my essence blood, but I've just advanced, so its power is extremely explosive at the moment. Are you sure that they can absorb it? A single mistake could result in terrible consequences," warned the palace master. Long Chen was delighted to hear that the palace master didn't refuse, so he quickly reassured him, "Palace master, don't worry. I am an alchemist. I can expel that explosive power and keep just the essence." Following that, the palace master extended his hand, and his 5 fingers curved like hooks. Streaks of blood-colored lightning appeared between his fingers. Then, a minuscule drop of blood materialized. This drop of blood was no larger than a grain of rice, yet it caused the room to tremble, and the void thundered violently. It was as if this tiny drop of blood held enough power to obliterate the entire world. The drop of blood continued to grow until it reached the size of a chicken egg. Space began to contort, resembling a compressed star on the brink of detonation, threatening to destroy the world. "That's enough, Palace Master. That's more than enough," Long Chun cried out. This essence blood was incomparably precious. So Long Chun had only requested a few drops to enhance his brother's dragon blood body tempering arts. Long Chun hadn't planned to increase their power with it because doing so required an exorbitant amount of essence blood. Long Chun didn't even dare to request such a favor. To his surprise, though, the Palace Master instantly condensed hundreds of drops of essence blood, causing Long Chun to panic. "My dragon race isn't so petty. Back then you helped me out, so this can count as repaying the favor." Finally, a fist-sized globe of blood appeared in front of Long Chun. Staring at it, Long Chun gulped, unable to even speak. "Many thanks, Palace Master." Long Chun offered a deep bow to the Palace Master, recognizing the immensity of this great favor. After all, the Palace Master had just advanced to the Eternal Realm, and it was all too easy for his realm to fall from such an impact. Seeing the Palace Master's aura weaken after giving him so much essence blood, Long Chun couldn't help but feel moved and somewhat guilty. "Go. They can absorb as much as they can. If it's not enough, come find me. If it's too much, remember to return it to me," the Palace Master instructed, his voice hoarse, bearing the strain of expelling such a significant amount of essence blood. Long Chun nodded in understanding and carefully stored the essence blood in the earth cauldron, not daring to come into direct contact with it. After all, the energy contained within it was too violent. If he handled it improperly, it would blow him apart. Long Chun immediately left, knowing that the Palace Master needed to quickly recuperate. He didn't wish to impose any further delay and just etched this favor deeply into his heart. When Long Chun returned to his residence, he immediately started refining the essence blood. After all, the Palace Master's essence blood was too violent and couldn't be directly absorbed. Also, his essence blood possessed the power of eternity. Let alone the Dragon Blood warriors, even if Long Chun tried to absorb a drop of it, he would instantly explode. This was the difference in realms that couldn't be bridged. If the Dragon Blood warriors could absorb eternal blood and instantly become eternal experts, it would undoubtedly throw the heavenly Daos into chaos. Thus, the first thing to do was to eliminate its violent power and the power of eternity. This was a laborious task, but fortunately, Long Chun had the earth cauldron. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked the Palace Master for his essence blood. Not only did he have the earth cauldron, but he also had Huolinger by his side. Huolinger's ice soul energy had grown increasingly pure, and she also possessed the powers of the moon flame and sun flame. Hence, her efficiency in refining this essence blood was nothing short of astonishing. Originally, Long Chun had thought that refining it would take at least 7 days. However, to his surprise, it was completed in a mere 3 days, and not only was the essence blood purified, but there was even more of it than before. It was originally only the size of a fist, but now this globe of blood was 3 feet wide. There was no way around it. Long Chun couldn't risk letting the Dragon Blood warriors directly absorb the Palace Master's blood. Although this essence blood was now much gentler without the power of eternity and its violent nature, it still possessed the power and will of the barbarian dragon race. Hence, to ensure safety, Long Chun diluted it to a ratio of 1 part in 100 for the Dragon Blood warriors to absorb. On this day, Long Chun gathered the Dragon Blood warriors and told them about the origin of this essence blood. When they learned that the Palace Master had taken the risk of lowering his realm to give them this essence blood, a profound sense of gratitude washed over them. The moment Long Chun took out this globe of blood, the Dragon Blood warriors' bodies rumbled. Their very own dragon blood power responded, circulating through their bodies rapidly. It was an instinctual reverence for the dragon blood. "Are you ready?" shouted Long Chun. "Ready!" The Dragon Blood warriors shouted in unison. Their eyes were full of thirst to get stronger. Long Chun formed hand seals and pressed a hand against the globe of blood. Following that, needles of blood extended out of the blood sphere, stabbing into the chests of the Dragon Blood warriors. The Dragon Blood warriors quivered, sensing an intense heat akin to lava surging into their chests. After that, the dragon blood in them ignited and was expelled from their bodies. In its place, the new dragon blood asserted itself tyrannically, transforming their bloodline. Ah! Just as this trace of blood entered their bodies, one miserable shriek rang out, and it came from Guoran. Xiachen had to undergo the same transformation with his weak physical body. In fact, his physique was likely even weaker than Guoran's, so the process was much more painful for him. Yet he hadn't even screamed. "Shut the hell up! What right do you have to scream?" Xiachen kicked Guoran in the butt, causing the latter to fall to the ground and roll about. Xiachen was enduring immense pain, but seeing Guoran rolling about like that, he almost laughed. This fellow really didn't have the slightest shame. The other Dragonblood warriors had long since gotten used to this sight. They all knew that Guoran hated pain the most. In this regard, he was inferior even to the female warriors of the healing squad. Long Chun almost coughed up blood from rage when he saw Guoran acting like this. What was he doing? Xiachun directly slammed a palm on the back of Guoran's neck, causing him to pass out. The screams came to a stop, and the world was peaceful again. "Fine, you win. How shameless." Long Chun shook his head, shaking his head in disbelief. He realized that this was precisely what Guoran had intended. He wanted to undergo the blood switch while unconscious to avoid the pain. However, undergoing this process while unconscious might result in some minor imperfections. Guoran seemed to prefer these imperfections over experiencing the pain firsthand. His scream was a calculated move to make Long Chun impatient with him and knock him out. It was a classic case of a dead pig not fearing boiling water. After all, Guoran's life didn't depend on his physical body, so he was willing to take the easy way out if possible. Long Chun had no way to stop him. However, his comeuppance would come sooner or later. After a while, most of the Dragonblood warriors had adapted to the process. However, there were still quite a few Dragonblood warriors with their faces twisted in pain and bitterly enduring. These Dragonblood warriors had not run into any good opportunities upon ascending to the immortal world. They were weaker as a result and needed more time to get used to this new blood. However, this setback would soon be overcome. They had consumed the triple supreme heavenly Tao fruits and now had primal chaos chi to absorb. Adding on this dragon blood infusion, they would quickly catch up, but it would probably be more painful for them. Soon after, all the Dragonblood warriors had successfully adjusted to the new blood. It coursed through their bodies, and their auras had undergone a complete transformation. Alright, next is to absorb the dragon blood yourselves based on your own power. There is immense power in this globe of dragon blood. If you could absorb even half of it, that would already be not bad. So don't worry about there not being enough. Absorb as much as you can until you reach your limit. This kind of opportunity will only come once, so don't miss it. Especially the brothers who returned later. This is your chance to make up for the gap. Work hard, said Long Chin. Yes. The Dragonblood warriors responded in unison and formed hand seals, circulating the dragon blood body tempering art. They started to draw in that essence blood. Threads of blood came out of the blood globe entering their bodies. As they absorbed the dragon blood with all their power, the blood globe slowly shrank. With Long Chun standing guard over them, every Dragonblood warrior was absorbing as much as they could. As time passed, their auras grew increasingly powerful and terrifying. As they absorbed this dragon blood, dragon figures appeared around them without them having to summon their manifestations. Instead, these figures spontaneously manifested themselves. These manifestations were all linked and resonated with each other, forming a particular force field. Moreover, they appeared to possess a life of their own, emitting a distinct rhythm. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. On the 7th day, the blood thread connecting to Gu Yang's chest shattered. He finally reached his limit and was no longer able to absorb more energy. Ha 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 ha. Gu Yang raised his head and laughed, emanating a dragon cry at the same time. A powerful blood chi then erupted, changing the color of the wind and clouds. Boss, I feel full of power, Gu Yang shouted excitedly. Feeling violent power surging within him, He had the urge to fight an enemy expert right here and now. After Long Chun checked Gu Yang's condition, he was shocked. The potency of the palace master's blood surpassed his expectations, and this could be seen from Gu Yang's heaven-toppling transformation. His skin was akin to dragon hide. Although it might not be able to block an eternal divine weapon, an ordinary world domain divine item was unable to even pierce his skin. The defensive power of the body was linked to its physical power. As a result, based on Gu Yang's defensive power, Long Chun could judge just how great Gu Yang's real power was. Following that, Li Qi and Song Mingyuan reached their limits as well. They felt like absorbing just the slightest bit more of dragon blood energy would cause their bodies to explode. Their physical bodies had also been strengthened to an unprecedented level. Although the two didn't rely on power to fight, powerful physical bodies would let them circulate their energy without worry. This enabled them to execute formidable techniques without concern for the strain on their bodies. The Dragon Blood warriors quickly began to reach their limits as well. When they sensed the changes in their bodies, their eyes shone with excitement. Xia Chun was the second last to finish. Due to his weak physical body, he absorbed the dragon blood energy very slowly and carefully. Last place was Guoran, and he was still unconscious. In his unconscious state, his absorption was even slower. After adjusting their condition, the Dragon Blood warriors started to practice punches and kicks. Every punch brought with it a whistling gale and ripples in the void. They were amazed by their new power. It was an hour later that Guoran finally woke up. When he stood and sensed the changes in him, he couldn't help laughing crazily. It was like he was already unrivaled. "What are you laughing at? Do you think that this is it? How many times have I said this? There are no such shortcuts on the path of cultivation. You might have gotten through this, but when the heavenly tribulation comes, we'll see if you can still cheat your way through," said Long Chun irritably. This little fellow always liked to play some tricks. However, because he was unconscious during the absorption of the dragon blood, there would be some flaws in his merger, which would be rectified in his next heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation would be like a furnace that refined those impurities. The pain he would experience later would be several times more intense than what he had just undergone. Most importantly, there would be no cheating during a heavenly tribulation. To put it frankly, he reaped what he sowed. Today's affairs are for today. Tomorrow's affairs are for tomorrow. Guoran didn't mind as he was still excited. Seeing his excitement, Long Chun was speechless. He couldn't wait to see how Guoran cried when the time came. After they were done absorbing the dragon blood, the globe of essence blood had shrunk to the size of a fist, and Long Chun immediately brought it back to the palace master. When Long Chun arrived outside the palace master's room, the essence blood quivered and vanished. Long Chun knew that the palace master had absorbed it back, so he simply bowed outside the room and left without entering. Long Chun then returned to his residence and searched for Bai Shishir and Yu Qingxian. However, he couldn't see them because the two were in seclusion, so he could only walk around the academy. The academy's construction was progressing at a rapid pace. But somehow, Long Chun noticed a significant reduction in the number of individuals within the academy. After asking around, he learned that the academy's disciples were already starting to undergo their tribulations, with most of the academy's elders departing to safeguard them against potential attacks from experts of other worlds. Amongst the elders were Bai Zhantong, Bai Shaola's mother, and Bai Shishir's mother, and they were overseeing the disciples as they confronted their tribulations. Also, some of the academy's senior experts, who had been stuck at their bottlenecks for many years, found their bottlenecks loosening as the new influx of primal chaos chi reinvigorated their bodies. This encouraged them to attempt breaking through to higher realms. It didn't matter how old they were. As long as their blood chi had not started regressing, they still had a chance of breaking through their bottlenecks. It could be said that the primal chaos chi had brought countless people new hope. As a result, there were many experts with unsteady auras inside the academy. Clearly, they had just advanced and could not fully control their power yet. Long Chun asked around and flew southwest. With his golden Kunping wings, he arrived in a wildland after flying for a bit. There were 4 transportation formations in the surroundings, but they couldn't be used as people were constantly undergoing tribulation here, resulting in the laws of space being unstable. Hence, people could only rely on their own power to come here. This location had served as the site where High Firmament Academy's disciples underwent their tribulations in the past. The region was known for its exceptional attributes, boasting abundant spiritual chi and relatively gentle and comprehensive laws. It was considered one of the 9 most distinguished holy lands in the Nirvana overflow heaven for undergoing tribulation. As a result, countless experts who wanted to undergo their tribulations were drawn to this place. Originally, it had been under the jurisdiction of the High Firmament Academy, but due to their long absence, this place had long since become a masterless location. Even though the High Firmament Academy had reclaimed this land, it was still regarded as a masterless place, with people coming from far and wide to undergo their tribulations here. However, the High Firmament Academy had announced that only members of the spirit race and humans could undergo their tribulations here. As for the rest, they could go to hell for their tribulations. The current High Firmament Academy was no longer the old High Firmament Academy. With the peerless Long Chan among the younger generation and the intimidating Palace Master among the senior generation, the Academy had risen to unparalleled fame, and no one dared to challenge them at this point. As a result of this, no one dared to force their way in to undergo their tribulations in this region. However, recently, some insidious experts from the other worlds had resorted to launching sneak attacks on those in the midst of their tribulations. Furthermore, this was not a one-time thing. These invaders had originally been in the Immortal King realm, but they underwent their tribulations in the Nirvana overflow heaven to become world kings before sneak attacking the experts here. It was rumored that it was extremely difficult for world kings to pass through the gate, whereas it was notably easier for immortal kings, so the invaders chose to come through the gate first and undergo their tribulations here. These invaders were incredibly powerful, and they kept coming and going like phantoms. On numerous occasions, they had slain the human race's heavenly geniuses during their tribulation, leaving the human race's experts uneasy. Therefore, the disciples from various factions all underwent their tribulations under the vigilant protection of their seniors, deeming it far too dangerous to do otherwise. Some factions had even formed alliances, so that dozens of their disciples could undergo their tribulations together, with all their seniors providing protection. However, the attacks of the invaders still led to some terrible casualties. The human race's experts seethed with anger, but the invaders were exceptionally cunning, vanishing immediately after their attacks. Pursuing them was futile. At times, the attacks were carried out by small squads, each consisting of dozens of individuals. If they dispersed in various directions when fleeing, then their pursuers might even fall into a trap by dividing their forces. After all, these invaders were incredibly powerful, with their world kings being on par with half-step Eternals of this world. Thus, all the human race's heavenly geniuses were apprehensive about their tribulations. Undergoing tribulation in such a state significantly increased the risk of failure, yet no one in the human race had any solution to this dilemma. "You damn bastard! Come out and fight if you have the guts!" Long Chun had just arrived at the tribulation land when he heard a furious roar in the distance. Following that, a life form with 2 wings flew in Long Chen's direction. This was a life form from the other world, and its blood chi and pressure were astonishing. Despite just becoming a world king, its aura was as strong as that of a half-step Eternal. It had just snuck its way to the border of the heavenly tribulation and launched a sneak attack on a heavenly genius. Fortunately, this sneak attack was noticed quickly and thwarted in time. Otherwise, that heavenly genius would have died. Seeing that a single invader had dared to charge over all alone, the human race in this area was enraged and chased after it. However, this life form was so incredibly fast that even half-step Eternals were unable to catch up to it. This left them grinding their teeth in frustration. At this time, a 7-color streak of divine light pierced that life form's head, causing the human race's experts to shout in excitement. Following that, a golden figure appeared in front of that life form and blew its head apart with a punch. "It's Long Chun!" Startled cries rang out from the group of people. The attacker was the new Sage King, and their enthusiasm intensified when they recognized him. However, when they saw his cultivation base, they couldn't help being shocked. Long Chen's realm hadn't advanced, but his power had already transcended anything he had displayed during the Sage King convention. It had to be known that the slain lifeform had launched a sneak attack that required 7 half-step Eternals working together to block it. However, such a terrifying expert was simply crushed by the immortal King Long Chun. Furthermore, they could tell that Long Chun could have slain it in one move. The reason he had launched 2 attacks was only to do a soul search. Long Chen's hand shattered that lifeform's head and soul. After scanning its soul fragments, Long Chun found that this lifeform came from a realm known as the Great Desolate World. Unlike the humanless world, there were humans in the Great Desolate World. However, the human race there occupied the lowest stratum of the castes. Their cultivation bases were restricted, and they were raised as slaves. Under the control of the powerful lifeforms, the human race in the Great Desolate World was forced to do grueling tasks such as mining ores, constructing palaces, and forging weapons. In that harsh world, human lives were regarded as even lower than those of ants, so they had to endure a wretched fate. Courting death. Upon seeing the memories of this lifeform, Long Chen's killing intent exploded. These bastards were even more vile than the lifeforms of the humanless world. Dean Long Chun, why have you come? An expert of the High Firmament Academy came over to greet Long Chun. Even though he was a half-step Eternal, he still bowed toward Long Chun reverently. I came to take a look, said Long Chun with a dark expression. He had yet to recover from his rage. Dean Long Chun, you are incredibly powerful. We all admire you. What did you see from its soul? Asked another half-step Eternal not from the Academy. Their combined power was unable to hold back that life form. But Long Chun had slain it with a wave of his hand. The disparity in power was truly immense, instilling in them a profound respect for Long Chun. After all, throughout history, power had always commanded respect. Long Chun told them about what he had seen, causing their expressions to change. Those bastards, those absolute animals, cursed an elder with an explosive temper. Upon learning that members of their race were being raised as slaves, they all burst into furious roars. How hateful! I swear I'm no human if I don't avenge this insult. As long as I still breathe, I will fight them to the death. These elders gnashed their teeth furiously, unable to accept this news. The elder from the High Firmament Academy said, Dean Long Chun, the Vice Palace Master is at the front. You should go and talk to him. Long Chun nodded and followed them deeper into this land. Here, lightning was raining down as hundreds of experts were undergoing tribulation. Even the outer edge of this tribulation land was locked down by senior experts from various human factions. They didn't dare to slack off in the slightest, afraid that a single opening could be exploited by the invaders. Long Chen's arrival caused quite the commotion. After all, he was the most famous expert of the junior generation, and even the seniors here regarded him as a supreme existence. They all knew once Long Chun became a world king, half-step Eternals like them would become insignificant in his presence. Long Chun looked around and saw hundreds of thousands of disciples waiting. They were clearly lining up to undergo their tribulations. Only a few hundred people can undergo their tribulations at once? Just how long are we supposed to wait? Long Chun frowned. If this continued, the gates would fully open before the Nirvana Overflow Heaven's disciples finished undergoing their tribulations. There's no way around it. If too many people do it at once, we won't be able to look after them all. This is our limit, sighed a half-step Eternal helplessly. Long Chun, why are you here? Bai Zhantong was surprised to see Long Chun, and similarly, Long Chun was also taken aback by the aura of eternity that surrounded Bai Zhantong, who had already reached the level of a half-step Eternal. The cultivation bases of the High Firmament Academy's elders had always been a mystery to Long Chun. Before Long Chun could reply, he spotted a life form on the ground. To his surprise, it was a member of the shadow race. However, it was on its last breaths. There wasn't a single wound on it, but the fire of its soul was about to extinguish. Senior is amazing. Long Chun looked at Bai Shaola's mother, who was behind Bai Zhantong, and gave her a thumbs up. Perhaps only a pupil art master like her could kill someone with a mere look. Bai Shaola's mother smiled, but Bai Zhantong irritably said, I asked you a question. Stop fawning. Baishala's mother immediately glared at her husband. This fellow really didn't know how to talk nicely. Longchen smiled. My brothers will have to face their tribulations soon. So I came to scout things ahead of time. Scout? Do you think you're a bandit scouting a target? Bai Zhantong sighed. Long Chen's choice of words left him speechless. However, he could understand if Long Chen wanted to check the terrain. Long Chen asked, how is the situation here? What do you think? You already saw it. These hateful fellows are buzzing around like flies. They'll launch a sneak attack and then run. As these children cannot be affected by them while undergoing their tribulations, we have set up a layer of defense. But it's only enough for a few hundred people to undergo tribulation at the same time. Tell me, isn't it frustrating? Bai Zhantong was extremely irritated with the situation. That was why as soon as they caught any sneak attackers, he would want to tear their muscles and skin apart to vent. The problem was they were forced into a passive position, so being able to capture 2 or 3 in 10 sneak attacks was already not bad. Most of the time, they could only watch as these sneak attackers fled, driving Bai Zhantong crazy. Take note of your image. You shouldn't just say anything that crosses your mind. Scolded by Shirshir's mother. Long Chen smiled. It's fine. I can resolve this problem. Leave it to me. Leave it to you? Bai Zhantong stared at Long Chen. Yes, leave it to me. I guarantee that not one person who dares to sneak attack us will get away. Long Chen smiled, but there was an icy killing intent in his eyes. The great desolate world's lifeforms had fully enraged him. 10,000 people undergoing tribulation together? Are you crazy? Bai Zhantong and the others jumped in shock when they heard Long Chen's proposal, not daring to believe their ears. Furthermore, he wasn't suggesting that these 10,000 people should undergo individual tribulations like they were currently experiencing. He wanted them to undergo their tribulations together. That was crazy. After all, this was the World King Tribulation, where a single mistake could cost someone their life. If several people underwent tribulation together, they would affect each other and increase the power of the heavenly tribulation, most likely resulting in them all being wiped out. As for 10,000 people undergoing tribulation together, that had to be a joke. It's fine. Leave it to me. Seeing their shocked expressions, Long Chen couldn't be bothered to explain. He turned to the Academy's disciples who were still waiting for their turn. Brothers, do you trust me? We trust you. These disciples had once stood shoulder to shoulder with Long Chen in battles against the heavenly geniuses of the various races. During those perilous moments, they had glimpsed life and death from a unique perspective. It could be said that this life of theirs had already been forfeited back then, only to be picked back up by Long Chen. As a result, they held profound admiration for Long Chen and had absolute faith in him. If Long Chen said that they could do this, they would do it. All right, then there's nothing else to say. 10,000 brothers will go first. Just listen to my instructions. After he said this, practically every single disciple in the area tried to rush to the queuing line. But unfortunately, many of them were too slow to get a spot. All the disciples who did manage to get a spot were incredibly excited. Bai Shirshir's mother and the others all sighed upon seeing this. Long Chen's charisma was truly too strong. These disciples had no idea just how dangerous 10,000 collective tribulations would be. It was a completely preposterous idea. However, these disciples didn't mind. Even if Long Chen wanted them to charge into a lost battle and throw their lives away, they wouldn't hesitate. Their faith in Long Chen had surpassed the realm of common sense. Lei Linger. Lei Linger appeared in the form of a pretty girl beside Long Chen. However, her face now was arrogant and icy, completely different from usual. This was how Long Chen had told her to act this time. She needed to appear distant and aloof, rather than overly cheerful and excited. These brothers will be under your protection. Long Chen cupped his fists to her. Big brother Long Chen, don't worry. Lei Linger solemnly nodded. However, she was not that skilled in acting, and her eyes contained a hint of a joyous smile. Start! In front of everyone's gaze, 10,000 disciples of the Academy entered the core of this region, and all the other disciples retreated. Then, their auras erupted, shattering their respective bottlenecks. As black tribulation clouds covered the sky, a berserk aura permeated the world. At that moment, a palpable tension gripped the hearts of all. As 10,000 disciples faced their tribulations together, the tribulation's might grew exponentially. The tribulation cloud's range was nothing short of extraordinary, blanketing an area of 100,000 miles. Left with no other choice, the senior experts had to spread their defensive line. But that filled them with worry. Their defensive line had been designed for maximum protection, so spreading them thinner would cause holes to appear. When sneak attacks came, they might not be able to react in time. Don't worry. They probably won't dare to approach a heavenly tribulation of this scale. After all, once the heavenly tribulation senses them, they'll definitely die. We just need to block any long-range attacks that they might launch. Furthermore, long-range attacks will also be sensed by the heavenly tribulation and will probably be extinguished by the time they reach the core. The main question is whether or not these children will be able to endure this tribulation, said one expert. The next moment, the tribulation clouds quivered, and lightning arrows rained down on the disciples. Seeing this scene, the senior expert's heart sank. In most cases, the first wave of the heavenly tribulation was like a gentle drizzle, gradually intensifying into a downpour before transforming into lightning arrows. However, this time, the tribulation skipped the customary warm-up phase, giving these disciples no time to adapt. In just the first wave, quite a few of them were already injured, and all they could do was protect their vital areas. They instantly started to panic. Their boiling excitement had been doused with a bucket of ice water, replaced by an overwhelming sense of fear. "Dean Long Chun, this is not good," cried out an elder of the academy. If this continued, the 10,000 disciples might be wiped out by the heavenly tribulation. "I can see that it's not good either, but there's nothing I can do. I can't stop the heavenly tribulation." Long Chin shrugged helplessly. "You, Elder Su Feng, don't panic. Long Chun is just joking. He's confident inside," said Bai Shirshir's mother hastily when she saw that this elder was about to go crazy. Seeing that this elder was really anxious, Long Chun said, "It was just a joke. Don't take it seriously. I apologize." That elder was speechless. Long Chun was supposed to be the dean of the academy. How could he make such a joke? He was taking things far too lightly. However, Elder Su Feng was merely an elder and lacked the qualifications to criticize Long Chun. On the other hand, Bai Shirshir's mother understood Long Chun better. She knew that despite his youth, Long Chun was always serious about important matters and wouldn't do something he had no confidence in. Moreover, he would never put the lives of the academy disciples at risk for the sake of a joke. "What are you all waiting for? Are you just going to get hit and not hit back? How long are you going to take? Attack the tribulation and get it over with. We have more people waiting behind you," shouted Long Chun to the people undergoing tribulation. Suddenly, startled cries echoed through the air as the heavenly tribulation trembled, and a bolt of lightning shot toward Long Chun. Speaking to the people undergoing tribulation clearly counted as an interference, causing the tribulation to retaliate. Everyone jumped in shock, while Bai Zhantong and the others fell back, afraid of antagonizing the tribulation further. If this suddenly escalated into a heaven-venerate heavenly tribulation, all of these 10,000 disciples would be instantly turned to dust. Boom! Long Chun simply waved his hand and shattered the lightning. For him, a heavenly tribulation on this level was nothing more than an itch. "Hurry up! Show some manliness and stop hesitating," shouted Long Chun. Once more, the heavenly tribulation quivered, and this time, it manifested a giant lightning spear that surged toward Long Chun. The force behind this attack was 100 times stronger than the previous one. Clearly, the previous attack was just a warning, but this time, the tribulation truly wanted to kill Long Chun. Bang! Long Chun swiftly thrust his palm forward, shattering the lightning spear once more. Seeing Long Chun confront their heavenly tribulation, those disciples were invigorated. "Fuck! I'll go all out. One of the disciples gritted his teeth and roared. In front of countless astonished gazes, he charged through the lightning and actually attacked the heavenly tribulation. Kill! With that person taking the lead, the other disciples also went crazy and charged toward the tribulation clouds. Crazy! They've all gone crazy. All the senior experts felt their scalps turning numb. How could these disciples trust Long Chun to this extent? On the other hand, the heavenly tribulation seemed to be enraged by their actions. It seemed to boil, and the lightning arrows turned into lightning spears and pierced toward them. Some disciples struggled to block those spears and spat out blood, while some were impaled right through. Most of them were enveloped by the wild power of the thunder force, and a burning smell came from them. However, those disciples continued to follow Long Chen's orders and charge over. Several triple supremes were the first to go against the flow of lightning and strike the tribulation clouds. Roar! As a result, lightning beasts emerged from the heart of the tribulation clouds, pressing them back, but more and more disciples continued to climb up. All of a sudden, a triple supreme had his chest pierced through by one of those lightning beasts. And just as the lightning beast was about to tear him apart, boom! A black lightning arrow flew out and blasted that lightning beast apart, saving that person. Then the petite Lei Linger appeared. Lei Linger was immersed in the heavenly tribulation. As this lightning was her nourishment, she naturally wouldn't let it go. However, now wasn't the time to absorb everything yet. She would only start taking her cut when the disciples couldn't endure it any longer. The weaker disciples were quickly at their limits. When they reached their breaking point, a lightning dragon would wrap around them, absorbing the lightning attacking them. Lei Linger's appearance reinvigorated the disciples. Now, they finally understood why Long Chun had told them to attack the tribulation head-on. Hence, they unleashed all their power. The first reason was so that they would no longer be able to resist the thunder force. When they reached that state, the thunder force would be drawn into them naturally. The second reason was to extract the huge power of the tribulation. They had to constantly attack it to shorten the time of the tribulation. Finally, even the triple supremes reached their limit, but they were quite strong and didn't need Lei Linger's help. Right before they couldn't do it anymore, the tribulation ran out of energy and dissipated. In less than an hour, this tribulation came to an end and 10,000 people had become world kings. Thanks to Lei Linger's protection, they didn't need to hold back at all and could freely absorb the blessing of the heavenly tribulation while avoiding the danger. The result was amazing. Now that they were world kings, their auras were shockingly concentrated. It wouldn't be long before they advanced to the first heaven stage of the world king realm. Seeing that it had such a good effect, everyone was stunned. Even the disciples who had undergone the tribulation found it difficult to believe. It felt like they were dreaming. "Next batch," said Long Chun indifferently. With this success, everyone instantly stopped worrying, and the elders of other factions ran over, asking if their disciples could join in. Previously, they had only watched, and even if Long Chun had asked them, they wouldn't have been willing to let their disciples take this risk. However, it was different now. This time, Long Chun increased the numbers, and 30,000 people underwent tribulation together. The decision came after Lei Linger complained about the lack of essence for her to absorb. She needed more lightning essence, as ordinary thunder force was no longer enough to satisfy her. In the second wave, 30,000 people would undergo tribulations together. Despite their nervousness, they didn't dare to voice their doubts. This time, half of the people were from the academy, while the other half came from various factions. After enough people gathered, the tribulation started. Just like last time, although the heavenly tribulation was powerful, with Lei Linger's protection, everything went smoothly. By the third wave, their numbers swelled to 50,000. In the fourth wave, they reached 80,000 participants. Then, Long Chun intended to increase the number to 100,000 for the fifth wave. However, he realized that they somehow couldn't trigger the heavenly tribulation. What's going on? The 10,000 disciples were standing at the core, flabbergasted as they looked at the sky. Even the seniors were stunned as they had never seen such a phenomenon before. Too many people have undergone their tribulations in rapid succession, so the heavenly Daos are out of energy and unable to invoke another heavenly tribulation. The heavenly Daos will need some time to recover. Bai Shaola's mother explained, using her 3 flower pupils to stare into the sky. Before her eyes, the sky had a giant hole, with heavenly Tao energy flooding over from every direction. It would likely take several hours to replenish the energy deficiency in this space. Today's tribulations had toppled everyone's understanding of the world. Such a cheat-like method was something that they had never thought of. How was it? Long Chun asked Lei Linger, who had returned to the primal chaos space. I feel full. I am starting to transform. Lei Linger's serious expression vanished, and she giggled. Long Chun could also see that Lei Linger had started to have the aura of the World King realm. Her Thunder Force was going through a qualitative transformation. It's too bad that their Thunder Force is too weak. I'm looking forward to Big Brother's heavenly tribulation. Lei Linger was full of anticipation, like a gluttonous foodie waiting for a feast. That meal of yours will definitely come. However, you have to grow stronger, or it will be too tough for you to swallow, said Long Chun with a smile on his face. Whether it was the dragon expert or his own father, they had all said that his impending tribulation would be frighteningly strong. This was also Long Chen's first time feeling an immense sense of pressure from his upcoming tribulation. He had a premonition that his next heavenly tribulation would carry an immense weight of karma with it, making it possibly a life-threatening ordeal. Thus, Lei Linger had to grow stronger. That way, she would be able to truly help during his tribulation. After all, she was his life-saving trump card. A few hours later, the heavenly Daos had restored themselves, and experts from more factions had flocked over in search of Long Chen's aid. The news that Long Chun could help people undergo their tribulations had spread far and wide. Hence, countless experts were enticed and had come to ask for his aid. Some of them even directly said that they would be willing to make a spiritual contract with the Academy if he could help them. In the future, no matter what difficulty the High Firmament Academy was in, they would help with all their power. Dean Long Chun, the experts of the other worlds are running rampant. The human race is in great peril. Please let us in. We're all members of the human race and should assist each other. Otherwise, how would we face our mutual enemies? Countless sects had sent representatives to ask for Long Chen's aid. However, Long Chun looked at them with a touch of scorn. Have you forgotten how those races hunted me down during the Sage King convention? Why don't you tell me what you did in response? Those experts' expressions grew unsightly. Long Chen's response rendered them utterly speechless. During the Sage King convention, when Long Chun was being hunted down, they had chosen to sit still and watch like it was a show. Long Chun naturally wouldn't turn away the people who had helped him. They had been the first factions to come to the High Firmament Academy, and the High Firmament Academy had agreed to let them undergo tribulation here. However, these factions that came after hearing the news, they had wisely chosen to look after their own hide during the Sage King convention, and they now had the audacity to ask for aid. Dean Long Chun, a noble expert like yourself, need not bicker with us over such matters. Besides, this isn't the time for internal conflicts. We should be united against our enemies. Please think about the big picture, advised one elder. Well said. We should be united and think about the big picture. When my brothers and I were attacked by countless enemies, why didn't you think about being united and the big picture? What a nice double standard. You are allowed to just protect yourselves while I must think about the big picture. Based on what? Sneered Long Chin. That's right, based on what? On the martial stage, senior apprentice brother Long Chin protected us. Outside of the martial stage, he led us through the blockade of enemies and didn't toss aside a single one of us. As for you, when there was danger, you hid. Now that there's something you want, you immediately come to suck up. How shameless. Who could possibly trust you? Other disciples on Long Chen's side started to speak up for him. United? When have you ever been united? Do you even view yourself as a member of the human race? Exactly. Who knows whether or not you'll think about yourself again and side with the other races when the gate opens. You might be the first to stab us in the back. The disciples on Long Chen's side, as well as the disciples who had undergone their tribulations and were still here, indignantly cursed those elders. The majority of these disciples had fought alongside Long Chen on the Sage King martial stage, and some of them had lowly backgrounds and didn't even have a half-step eternal standing guard over their family or sect. However, the High Firmament Academy still allowed them to come. Even when the Academy could only protect a few hundred people at once during their tribulations, the Academy still let them queue up. This gesture made them feel extremely grateful. The fact that tens of thousands of people would take the risk of undergoing tribulation together, solely based on Long Chen's word, was a testament to their unwavering trust in him. Now, these shameless old fellows had the audacity to appear and ask for a favor in front of them. They were just asking to be cursed. The faces of those elders were red after being cursed by a group of juniors, but they couldn't retort. Dean Long Chen, we know that we were wrong. If you are angry, we will kowtow to you as an apology. But our children are innocent. It wouldn't be fair to punish them for our foolish decisions. They are still young and have futures. If those futures are ruined because of us, we really will never be able to atone, even in death. One elder stepped forward and slowly got on his knees toward Long Chen. Long Chen waved his hand, and that elder was instantly forced back, unable to kneel. Dean Long Chen, are you really not willing to forgive us foolish fellows? The elder wore an expression of despair, and two teary eyes welled up with sorrow. Shut up! Long Chen sneered at him. Mountains and rivers may change, but people don't. You're only willing to kowtow because you are begging for my aid, and you're even crying. Who are you trying to deceive? Playing with someone's emotions? I've seen such a thing often, and it is meaningless. I have never claimed to be a saint. As long as I don't have a heart, others cannot exploit my compassion. Bai Shirshir's mother curled her lips and exchanged a look with Bai Shaola's mother. Long Chen's resolve was truly unyielding, impervious to either soft or hard tactics. That elder could only shake his head and sigh. There was a hint of rancor in his eyes, but he didn't dare to express it. No need to beg like this. It's not like I said that I would not permit them to undergo their tribulations here, said Long Chen lightly. What? Those elders had been about to leave. When they heard this, they didn't dare to believe their ears. The High Firmament Academy is the academy of the human race. All the precious tomes here are treasures of the human race, and the academy is only the overseer. In the same vein, the Academy's sacred tribulation grounds are also open to the entire human race. Anyone can undergo their tribulations here, said Long Chen. Then are you saying that you will permit our disciples to undergo tribulation here? Asked one elder with a quivering voice. Of course, they can use it whenever they want, said Long Chen, shrugging. May I ask if our disciples will receive your protection during their tribulations? Asked a sharper elder who saw the crux of the problem. After all, it would be meaningless if Long Chen didn't protect them during their tribulations. Do you wish to undergo tribulation with us? Asked Long Chen as he turned to the disciples behind the elders. Those disciples were silent, and not one of them dared to make a sound. That was due to their guilty consciences. You don't even dare to say a word. What's the point of cultivating then? Just bury yourself in the ground and get it over with, sneered Long Chen. Yes, we want to undergo tribulation under your protection, shouted a young disciple. Then I ask you this. If I protect you now, when I am in trouble, will you throw stones at me? Will you stab me in the back? Will you raise your blade against the human race? Asked Long Chen sternly. No, definitely not. I can swear on my soul to forever be loyal to senior apprentice brother Long Chen, shouted that disciple. Then what if one day I become a bad person and start slaughtering the human race? What if I raise my blade against my own race? Asked Long Chen. That disciple was struck dumb, not knowing how to respond. The others were also startled as they didn't know the point of this question. However, it was rather frightening. I can protect you during your tribulation, and I won't require anyone to swear fealty to me. However, I need you to swear on your hearts to remain righteous forever, to swear your loyalty to the human race. You cannot let yourself be driven by profit, to be forced by pressure. You can never go against your conscience, declared Long Chun. I swear, I will dedicate myself to the human race, to be righteous, to not bend for profit or pressure. I will never betray my conscience. Countless disciples immediately stepped forward, raising their hands toward the heavens and swearing. Long Chun slowly smiled upon hearing their oath. With this, even if the senior generation betrayed the human race, the new generation of experts would not be led astray by them. Those who have sworn, line up. The first wave of 100,000 disciples will begin their tribulations. Seeing 100,000 disciples queue up, Long Chun was delighted inside. So many people are undergoing tribulation. I can definitely turn Lei Linger into an eternal-level existence. The news of Long Chun helping people undergo their tribulations spread far and wide, and anyone from the human race or a race with positive affiliations with humanity was welcome to participate. They only had to swear to never betray the human race and to keep righteousness in their hearts. Once this pledge was made, they could join the ranks of those undergoing their tribulations. With this, even factions that had bad relationships with Long Chun allowed their disciples to come. In any case, Long Chun's actions had moved countless experts. Countless heavenly geniuses flocked toward this place. Long Chun didn't care about their talent or origins. As long as they came and took the oath, they could line up to undergo their tribulations. However, too many people were undergoing their tribulations here that the sacred land did not have enough heavenly Tao energy to maintain a constant tribulation. After 100,000 people went through a collective tribulation, the heavenly Taos needed 2 hours to recover their depleted energy. Long Chun felt that this was too slow. If they didn't have to wait, they could undergo 4 tribulations during this period. As a result, Long Chun ordered the construction of a supreme range transportation formation. Once the tribulation was done in one area, Long Chun directly went through the transportation formation to another area. After all, the Nirvana overflow heaven had several sacred lands for undergoing tribulation. After undergoing tribulation in one sacred land, Long Chun brought the next group to the second sacred land. The heavenly Taos might need to recover their energy, but Long Chun didn't, so they kept cycling through 4 sacred tribulation lands. To protect the human race's disciples while they underwent their tribulations, Long Chun had Lei Linger slaughter all the invaders who came to cause trouble. As a result, they were swiftly dealt with before they could even get close. After every tribulation, Lei Linger's power rose, gradually starting to exceed even Long Chun's. Hence, the invaders simply had no chance to run. Faced with the combined swiftness of Long Chun and Lei Linger, they had no hope of fleeing. Long Chun spent a whole day working, making countless experts grateful to him. Some experts even suggested him to rest while looking at him with worshipful eyes. After all, he was about to break through to the World King realm as well, and he shouldn't delay his cultivation. However, Long Chun dismissed their kind suggestions. He continued to work day and night to support these disciples. As countless people were moved by his generosity, Long Chun was overjoyed inside. Lei Linger's growing power sent shivers down Long Chun's spine. Fortunately, she was not a pet but a cherished member of his family. Otherwise, her betrayal would definitely be fatal to him. Lei Linger continued to grow stronger, but Long Chun didn't reveal that to anyone. Her aura gradually reached a point where concealing it became increasingly challenging. Therefore, Long Chun thought of a solution, having her split into 9 bodies, dividing her power into 9 equal portions. While the others rested, one continued to work. This would guarantee that her aura remained stable. As a result of this technique, over the next few days, tens of thousands of her split bodies emerged within the primal chaos space, each radiating a terrifying aura. With Long Chun going crazy helping others undergo their tribulations across multiple sacred lands, tens of millions of heavenly geniuses managed to advance without a single casualty. The number of people coming gradually diminished, and they no longer needed all 4 sacred lands. For dwindled to 3 to 2, and after 20 days, only the High Firmament Academy's sacred land remained in operation. Although the human race had plenty of heavenly geniuses, they eventually exhausted their reservoir of talents. Toward the end, it took several hours just to gather 100,000 people for their tribulations. Lei Linger's split bodies numbered in the millions now, and every single one of them possessed a terrifying aura. At this moment, she couldn't just merge them into one. It was because as soon as she did, she would undergo a qualitative change. After that, even if she split herself again, it would be useless as her aura would be fundamentally different. 2 days later, only 70,000 people underwent a collective tribulation, and that was it. Is it over? Lei Linger was a bit disappointed. She still had room for improvement, but there were no more tribulations for her to gain power from. Lei Linger, let's find a place for you to merge your split bodies. We'll see what kind of results we got, said Long Chen. All right. Lei Linger had long since wanted to merge, already itching to get on with it. Dean Long Chun, thank you. Tens of thousands of half-step Eternals cupped their fists toward Long Chun. These elders were essentially living fossils and were only hanging on with their last breaths just to intimidate some of their mortal enemies. The influx of primal chaos chi did not allow them to advance. However, it did increase their longevity by quite a bit. At the very least, they would still be around for a few extra centuries. These old fellows had personally brought their disciples here to secure opportunities for them and to express their sincerity. Once their disciples finished their tribulations, they didn't immediately leave. Instead, they stood with everyone else, guarding the sacred land. Seeing that Long Chun was about to leave, they all thanked him together. Everyone, there's no need for such formality. Helping others is in a way helping myself. However, I do have an important matter that I need your help with, said Long Chun. Dean Long Chun, please speak. As long as we can do it, even if you want us to walk through burning oil, we will not hesitate, said one elder. 3 disciples from his faction possessed immense talent, and following their tribulations, a trace of primal chaos chi had appeared in their manifestations, a symbol of them taking root in primal chaos. It signified that these disciples could potentially reach the eternal realm. Witnessing this, the elder was so moved that tears welled up in his eyes. After all, his sect had declined, and without his presence to provide a deterrent effect, his enemies could just attack and destroy his sect. Now, he finally had descendants who could protect his legacy, and his sect no longer required the protection of an elderly individual who should have long rested in the grave. Thus, his gratitude toward Long Chun could not be expressed with mere words. Senior is being too serious. This junior still has matters to deal with, so if I may trouble everyone, please stay here for a few more days. If anyone else comes here, please protect them during their tribulations. Don't let those troublemakers from the other worlds sneak attack them, said Long Chun. Dean Long Chun, don't worry. If we can't even do such a small thing, we won't have the face to see you. We'll just dig a hole and bury ourselves to get it over with, laughed an elder, and the others laughed with him. Hearing this, Long Chun nodded and waved goodbye. Seeing the warm gazes of this group of senior experts, Long Chen's heart warmed a bit. Humans were the most complicated, most fickle life form. Yet, the bright side of human nature was always the most touching. Since those sincere gazes could pass on their true feelings, just how wonderful would it be if human hearts could be a tad more straightforward? Golden wings appeared on Long Chen's back, and he flew off. An hour later, he landed in a desolate land. Boom! The moment he arrived, millions of lightning dragons manifested in the air. Wait! Long Chen suddenly cried out. Boom! Unfortunately, his shout came out too late. The millions of lightning dragons instantly merged into one, plunging heaven and earth into eerie silence. Following that, an explosive aura erupted in every direction like an unstoppable tsunami. The earth ruptured, and the void itself tore apart. Long Chen felt as though a shooting star had collided with him, causing blood to spew from his mouth. You foolish child! I already told you to wait! A terrifying lightning explosion sent Long Chen flying. Before he could even summon his defenses, the impact already struck him, causing stars to spin in his vision and sending him smashing through several large mountains. He didn't even know how far he went flying before he came to a stop. Just then, a streak of lightning flew toward him. Big brother Long Chun, called out Lei Linger. Don't come over. Long Chun cried out and immediately summoned the Dragon King battle armor. Boom! Lei Linger brought over a powerful shockwave as she charged over. Even before she could get near him, the shockwave already sent Long Chun flying once more. Fortunately, this time he was somewhat ready and was only sent flying, not injured. I'm sorry. I didn't know this would happen. Lei Linger felt so bad that she began to cry, especially upon seeing the blood around Long Chen's mouth. Foolish girl. I'm very happy to see you get stronger. I'm fine. Long Chen hastily consoled her. No matter how strong Lei Linger grew, her original heart didn't change. Seeing Long Chen smile and comfort her, Lei Linger smiled. At this moment, lightning was flowing around her, transforming an enormous space of 10,000 miles into a sea of lightning. Her explosive aura was like heavenly tribulation as it bore an overwhelming destructive will. Lei Linger's thunder force scoured heaven and earth, inciting intense rumbling explosions that mirrored the rhythm of her breath. Its resonance affected the workings of the heavenly Taos. Seeing this scene, Long Chun was filled with delight. Lei Linger was even stronger than he had expected. Now, even if she encountered an eternal expert, she would still have the power to fight them. Her power had truly grown explosively. Long Chun then had Lei Linger start to practice her control of this newfound power. However, her spiritual strength was too weak, so she needed to borrow Long Chen's. Lei Linger was so powerful and out of control now that she couldn't return to the primal chaos space. With her control now, her power would only harm the moon trees and Fusang trees. This was why Long Chun had her do her fusion in the outside world. Long Chun accompanied Lei Linger as she grew accustomed to this power. One day later, the sea of lightning around her had shrunk to just a few dozen miles. It was only then that Long Chun let her return to the primal chaos space. She continued to slowly refine and digest her new power inside the primal chaos space. Meanwhile, Long Chun returned to the academy. When he arrived, he immediately entered seclusion as he needed to adjust his essence, qi, and spirit to their peak condition. He calmed all of his distracting thoughts, letting himself enter a state of forgetting everything. This was all so that he would be in his strongest state for his tribulation. 7 days later, Long Chun came out of seclusion, and the Dragonblood warriors were also fully gathered. What shocked Long Chun was that they were all wearing new sets of armor with new weapons on their backs. Seeing Long Chen's shock, Guoran smiled proudly. Boss, what do you think? Xia Chun and I worked day and night to make them. Isn't this too fast? What tier are these sets of armor and weapons? Long Chun couldn't help asking. They have no tier. All the materials put into them are the finest immortal and divine metals used to forge eternal divine weapons. However, based on our calculations, Xia Chun and I would need to reach at least the divine venerate realm before we could create eternal divine weapons. We couldn't wait that long, so we went another way. These are battle armor and weapons that are capable of growth, and we plan to use the power of the tribulation and the blood-soul energy of our brothers to awaken the spirituality of the armor and weapons. We are very confident that it will work. Of course, the only requirement will be a strong enough heavenly tribulation, said Guoran confidently. Seeing that Guoran was so confident, Long Chun nodded. While Guoran was not reliable in other areas, when it came to forging, this fellow never slacked off in the slightest. Will this armor affect their dragon blood battle armor? Asked Long Chun. Of course not. Once these battle armor spirits are born, they will seamlessly merge with their masters, allowing our brothers to summon them as they please. Only when their physical bodies reach their limits will the armor manifest automatically. Furthermore, these armor come equipped with their own energy reservoirs in the form of primal chaos spirit stones, and they link with their weapons as well, so they're capable of both offense and defense. When our brother's dragon blood energy is exhausted, they can tap into these energy reservoirs, and it will be enough for them to charge out of an encirclement. It is a final life-saving trump card. Guoran was very pleased with his work. Nice job! Long Chun gave him a thumbs up. Guoran and Xia Chen's creation was truly amazing. Let's go. It's time for our tribulation. Hearing that it was finally their turn to undergo World King tribulations, everyone was excited as they would become stronger soon. Moreover, as their dragon blood required the baptism of heavenly tribulation to complete its fusion with them, they also didn't know how strong they would be after this tribulation. However, they had a premonition that they would experience a profound transformation, shedding their old selves entirely. Alert our other brothers. Prepare to gather, said Longchen. No need. Everyone already gathered 3 days ago. The strongest elites of the Battle God Palace and the High Firmament Academy, as well as 7 million disciples from the Starry River sect, are all awaiting your command, laughed Guoran. Good. Move out. After the Sage King Convention, Longchen learned that the Starry River sect had around 8 million experts, with 7 million of them being immortal kings. Since that was the case, Longchen had sent word to the Starry River sect to not let their disciples undergo tribulation and just wait for him. As a result, all their disciples had been flocking over upon Longchen's return. The moment they saw him again, their eyes blazed passionately. Their admiration for Longchen was plain to see. After all, Longchen had completely changed their fates. The comprehension they had gained from him in the ruins of the Starry River sect had allowed them to set foot onto the correct path. They were no longer milling around randomly. Dean Longchen, you can't undergo your tribulation here. Just then, a group of elders came running in, and they wore panicked expressions. What is it? Asked Longchen hastily. We just received a report. In front of the humanless world's gate, some traders have set up transportation formations. A large batch of invaders have entered the Nirvana overflow heaven, and their target is most likely you. Hearing this piece of information, Xia-Chan and the others were seething with anger. In the end, traitors had emerged within the human race. Boss, this isn't good. If one of those 9 monsters came, said Xia-Chan. Those 9 heavenly geniuses were particularly terrifying. If they were already world kings and took advantage of the tribulations to attack, Longchen and the others might be fully annihilated. Even if all 9 of them come at once, so what? As usual, we'll beat them up until their heads are as swollen as a pig's head. Let's go. We'll see if they have the guts to cause trouble. Longchen disdainfully stepped forward. They wanted to disturb his heavenly tribulation? Perhaps they had grown tired of living. Longchen thanked those elders for their good intentions and brought his group away. Following that, they heroically descended upon the sacred land. Boss, are you sure? Guoran whispered. Don't worry. Anyone who approaches my heavenly tribulation will simply die. Even if the entire humanless world's experts come, they will just be throwing their lives away, said Longchen. This wasn't Longchen's confidence in himself, but in the terrifying scale of his heavenly tribulations. Then why don't you undergo your heavenly tribulation in the humanless world? Asked Guoran. Are you a fool? Even if I were to do such a thing, once they realize that they definitely die, would they just charge right into it? Longchen scolded. This little fellow was only intelligent in forging. Oh, that's right. Guoran palmed his forehead. If they were to undergo their tribulations in the other worlds, their enemies would simply wait for the end of their tribulation and attack them in a weakened state. At that time, Longchen would be powerless to resist. Well, if they really dare to charge into our heavenly tribulation, they will be sending themselves to their deaths. I suspect they'll launch an attack as soon as the tribulation concludes. So be mentally prepared. However, don't need to worry too much. By facing this tribulation together, I assure you that I'll be the last to complete it. When you've reached your limits, you can just exit the core of the heavenly tribulation. Once my part is over, you will naturally advance. Everything will be the same as always, said Longchen. Longchen had undergone tribulations with everyone before, and since they faced it collectively, they had to wait until everyone had completed it before they could all advance. By the end of the tribulation, Longchen was always facing it alone, and the rest would enjoy a break to recover before the tribulation concluded entirely. As a result, when they became world kings, they would still be in peak condition. The place that Longchen chose this time was not the High Firmament Academy's sacred land. Instead, it was another sacred land located in the wilderness. Due to their numbers and unstable auras as they were about to have their tribulations, they didn't use a transportation formation. Instead, they spent 6 hours flying before they arrived, and this place was already packed with experts. Senior apprentice brother Long Chun, we will guard you. Please go through your tribulation without any misgivings. As long as we have a single breath left in us, we will not allow anyone to disturb you. Millions and millions of the human race's experts shouted in unison, their voices shaking the heavens. They consisted of disciples who had just finished their tribulations and their elders, and they had all come to be Long Chen's protectors. Having heard of the invaders coming to cause trouble for Long Chen, these people gathered from every corner of the Nirvana overflow heaven. Some disciples even abandoned their seclusion to come to protect him. Seeing so many people cheering for him, Long Chun felt his blood heating up. He even had the urge to cry a bit. The existence of these hot-blooded people proved that his decision was right. While he had never asked for anything in return when he made his decisions, their fervent passion deeply touched him. Hence, Long Chun cupped his fists toward them. At the same time, he felt even greater confidence for his upcoming tribulation, and an invisible energy was welling up within his heart. At some point, the golden lotus seed inside the primal chaos space started to shine like the sun. Its golden divine radiance spilled across every corner of the primal chaos space. With the cheers and shouts of countless people, Long Chen and the others entered the core region of this sacred tribulation land. Meanwhile, the supporters formed a human wall on the perimeter. Senior apprentice brother Long Chen, be careful. Traitors have emerged within the human race, and it's possible they may be in our midst, one of them urgently exclaimed. Another expert added, Indeed, I've heard rumors that some humans are aiding the other races, even disguising them as our own kind. It seems nearly impossible to identify them. Long Chen smiled and waved to them, indicating them to be at ease. He said, Don't worry. During my tribulation, I am invincible. Let alone them, even an eternal expert would be sending themselves to their death if they came. For you to come here already moves me deeply. However, I'll have to ask you to retreat further back. The scale of this upcoming tribulation might be a bit big. His domineering roar elicited a cheer from the protectors, and they immediately fell back. Begin! Millions of experts directly unleashed their auras and shattered the seals on their cultivation bases, directly charging through their bottlenecks. The next moment, the sunny sky instantly turned dark, and tribulation clouds covered the world. By the heavens, it's so large. Originally, people had thought that they had retreated too far, only to see tribulation clouds appear beyond the horizon. So, they hastily retreated further and further as it would not be good for them to be caught in this tribulation. But if we go any further, we won't be able to form a solid defense. Based on this, we might be the ones who need to be defended. Run. Don't mess around and actually end up causing trouble, shouted an elder. These elders had come for 2 reasons. One reason was simply etiquette. After all, Long Chen had helped them immensely, so they had to come. Even if they were useless, just cheering him on counted as something. The other reason was due to their experience. If there really was a sneak attack, old fellows like them would be more useful than the new world kings of the junior generation. They hoped that their greater experience would be of use. However, seeing the limitless heavenly tribulation, even the half-step eternal elders felt terrified, so they directed everyone to continue falling back. Boom! Just then, a torrent of lightning crashed down at the center of the heavenly tribulation. It was like a dam being broken, and the resulting flood smashed into Long Chen and the others. It's starting! Everyone's heart clenched. This was their first time seeing such a supreme heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, just the first wave was already so terrifying, looking as if they would be directly crushed by it. Attack! Just as the heavenly tribulation descended, Gu Yang raised his spear and roared. He charged against the flow of lightning. When everyone was shocked by his actions, rays of sword light slashed through the air, slicing the tribulation clouds into pieces. What? This time they saw it clearly. The one to slice apart the heavenly tribulation clouds was the peerless sword cultivator who had sliced the sage king martial stage apart. Uzifeng. Heavens! They're all monsters. At this moment, the dragon-blood warriors charged up against the tide. Rays of divine light streaked through the air as they assaulted the tribulation clouds. Following this wild assault, the disciples of the Battle God Palace, the High Firmament Academy, and the Starry River sect followed suit. Only Long Chun remained standing on the ground. What is going on? Senior apprentice brother Long Chun isn't undergoing his tribulation. At this moment, people realized that Long Chun's aura was still the same, stuck in the Immortal King realm. Just then, furious roars shook the heavens, and endless lightning beasts appeared in the sky, surrounding everyone.